Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Briarheart O2 YouTube channel. Today, I have a panel of wonderful guests here to discuss season one of, or series 14, however you prefer, of
It's season one.
Doctor Who. And for the first time in a while, I have with me one Mr. Joseph Morgan.
Yeah, I'm here, I suppose. Um, yeah, I think I'm here
You've
somewhere.
you've regenerated though.
Yeah, I literally have. I know the people listening can't see me right now, but I literally have.
And I also have with me Mr. Connor of Genesis of Androzani, who,
Because I'm a motherfucking PIMP.
hell yeah. And finally, the one, the only, Mr. Jacob Licklider.
This is the first time in years I've been on this channel, I think.
It's
Right,
it's
Brian?
it's the first time in years I think all three of us have been on one video. Or sorry, no,
It's the
all
first
four
time
of
in,
us.
it's the first time in years there's been a video on this channel.
No, it's not. It's the first time in like 6 months.
That's all. That's all. Did you say also when you were introducing Jacob? Did you say the one, the only, because he's only got one eye?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was yeah.
That's it.
I'm that clever. I'm
Yeah,
that
you thought
clever.
about that way in advance. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, we're going to be just doing a retrospective discussion on the most recent season of Doctor Who because Dylan isn't. And I would not feel
Yeah.
complete.
Is that why we're doing this?
I would not feel
I fucking knew this was why Brian was doing that.
I would
knew
not
for a
feel
fact that-
complete
Yes.
without the panel discussion video.
Because it's so modern and gay and insufferable, I can't watch it. That's what Dylan said.
I mean,
Yeah. So that's why Dylan's not covering it.
Yeah. So we're so take his lackeys instead.
All right. So
no, you are. I mean, yeah, Connor and Brian are feeling his lackeys. We have our own identity outside
We have
of
our own
Dylan.
thing. Me and Jacob exist outside of the Lord Slug continuity.
I haven't for a while, so but yeah.
I have
so
my own channel, shut up.
You do. You like
I-
to listen to
that's
Pink
true.
Floyd a lot on there. Anyway, so before
No,
we
I haven't-
delve
I haven't.
before we delve straight into the episodes themselves, we do have a new doctor and a new companion this season, and I want to just ask you guys, I suppose, what your general thoughts and feelings are on this new pair that
Time to check the boiling water.
All right. So I guess one of us should take it. All right. Well, I'll start. I don't know. I guess I love Shudigawa. I really love Shudigawa. I think he's fantastic. D- uh, Definitely different. Definitely different. If we're talking on us all as classic Who nerds, yeah, very different characterization. But I don't know. I think
do you think it's
as
a
is the
different
case.
characterization or it might be more in Shooty's performance?
I think a little bit of both. I think. I think as Russell does often so well, and did very much so in his first era. Russell is very much once again making it his show again. This is not adhering to anything that came before, anything that will come after. I'm sure. This is a brand new take on the Doctor, as written by Russell T Davies, and he has genuinely made an attempt to evolve the character in a significant way. I understand many are not taking that well, but I personally enjoy it. I could sit back and have a fun time with it. I do also realize that I may be coming at that from the perspective of somebody that has purposefully distanced himself from the fandom greatly in recent years. So I think I can enjoy Who a bit more, let's say, casually these days.
You're not the only one.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Actually, yeah, Connor. Now that you're actually back, I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, so yeah, as I guess as resident RTD stan, Connor, I want to know what your take on the Shooty Gatwa Doctor is. What do you think of him?
RTV1 Stan. Just going to point that out.
Oh, okay. All right. We have a distinction here.
Oh, we have a distinction.
Yeah,
That's
it's there. Some of these lemons aren't squeezed, unfortunately.
I was gonna
But
ask you at
no,
one point.
Shudigat was a wonderful actor. I knew that before he was in Doctor Who, and I think for her youth and lack of experience, I think Millie Gibson is very impressive. So that side of it, I have no issue. However, there is this disconnect with these characters in the sense that I think that there's a lot of moments where I'm like, this feels like a good moment that would be in a good episode, but when you link it up all together as a story, there's parts that just don't feel that cohesive, and I think that's the main issue. Is that it might be a time thing, it might be a lack of episodes thing, it might just be a focus on other aspects of a story thing. I'm not 100% sure. I do enjoy and like the presence of these people, but it's just there is a connective tissue missing that makes it
See, I think
that I expect from Russell's work.
I
That
think
is it, not just in Doctor Who, but in his recent work, like his very recent work. All the characters feel so immersive and real, and like I know them. With these two, I enjoy them on screen, but I don't feel like I know them the same way that I know his other characters, and that's the issue I have.
I think I agree with Connor on that entirely. Now I want to know what Jacob's take
Yeah.
is.
I agree, at least partially on terms of the character of Ruby Sunday. I think Ruby has a issue of being a bit too static of a character. Her arc is well, it's quite weird because I think it's more of not necessarily a time thing. I think it's more of a focusing thing. I think through the series, Davies is actually trying to focus on a bunch of different things. One of the primary ones is getting eyes on the show, something that, despite what, let's just say, half the internet's misunderstanding of how viewing figures work, it's-
Oh,
they
Jesus
don't
Christ!
work like that.
Fucking oh god.
Like, it has, it has been the number has been low, but the number has been in line with the rest of British television.
Most
in
people
the-
watch it on a streaming service, so viewing
Yeah.
figures
Yes.
don't mean anything.
Absolutely.
And we also do not know the any of the international viewing figures because it's Disney Plus,
Yeah.
and Disney does not release that shit. I would be fascinated to see it because it was very weird. Like, it was very weird
I
having
would
family
think
members
we
be
would be healthy as people if we just didn't know. That'd be nice.
Yeah, generally, like if we just had no clue, if anyone watched the show at all, I think that I think we'd be better off.
Such
Yeah.
a stupid thing. The only people who need to know what the viewing figures are the people that make it and the people that pay for it. That's it.
Yeah, and I will say so somehow around the time the Chibnall era happened, I somehow infiltrated certain Not My Doctor circles.
Oh,
Don't ask me how. It kind of happened by accident.
I knew nothing about this.
I also
Yeah,
knew
yeah,
nothing about this. Jacob has been spying on the enemy.
This is the first you're telling us about this.
It might be.
Spying on the enemy.
I mean, they're still equally as vile as always, and oh my god, just a lot of any of basically 99.999% of their criticisms of this series are dumb and come down to the Doctor's no longer being played by a straight white male, and there are also weird criticisms of Gibson, but I don't actually understand where they're coming from. I think it's the weird diva
She's such
rumor
a
that.
diva. She got
Oh,
fired.
Yeah, that's
which is so
definitely
funny
what
because
played
like
out on screen.
which yeah, exactly, because it's like you could tell like there's a genuine end to her character. I mean, well, at least for now, I imagine.
But my point I really want to make is there's a good chance Gottwell becomes one of my favorite Doctors of the revival. I love there's something infectious about the energy that he brings to the role. He does something
Yeah.
different. Joey and I were talking about this in DMs. I want to say around the time Dot and Bubble aired.
I think so.
It might have been 73 yards. because Joey and I both adore the VNAs, which do some really interesting deconstruction of the Doctor's gender.
Mhm.
And I think Gott was actually bringing some of that energy to the role in some interesting ways, mainly with the
Mm.
way he presents himself more emotionally and in a very different emotional way than, say, David Tennant, who was especially in his first Tennant's first run as the Doctor was also very emotional. It's very different. It's something that I quite like. Uh, it's
Mm.
quite like. I,
I think we did bring it up around Dot and Bubble. I think you're right because obviously I think we're obviously referring to the whole shooting up cries too much criticism, which is okay, neither here nor there, and definitely kind of feeds into the whole just let male role models in fiction just be more emotionally open, please. And also, Russell literally justifies that as a character trait, within setting up the 15th Doctor. Um, yeah, I think at least. But yeah, I know we were talking about that as VNA fan. Um, that yeah, it's just like it's not just a deconstruction for the sake of being a deconstruction. Like it's this is a look at the Doctor from a more emotionally vulnerable point of view, a more feminine point of view, which is important. And it was something that the VNAs definitely tapped into a lot. Um,
something that I
yeah,
kind of wish the Chibnall era would actually have tapped into.
which is
If we're being
hilarious
honest.
being Jodie Whittaker being the first female Doctor, but
Uh,
neither here nor there, I
but I
suppose.
don't want to. I don't want to spend any much of this panel discussion ragging on what came before. Um,
Yeah, exactly. Um,
uh,
Yeah. So
I
I
gotta.
also just yeah.
so
That was
my
just
my opinions probably, like I said, align more with Connor's on the Doctor. Although I do think that Ncuti Gatwa is the freshest. Maybe not in the writing, but in the performance. This is a very fresh take on the Doctor from an acting standpoint. I think
Mhm.
Ncuti Gatwa is very much carrying this iteration on the shoulders of being a classically trained performer,
Yeah, I must
because
also say. Oh, sorry.
there's just something slower almost that he's bringing to it that the last three haven't had, really. You get what I mean? He's
When you say three, do you include 10 or no?
no, I'm not including Tentine. There's
Gotcha.
with Gatwa, he reads the lines in such a way that you feel like you're able to sort of breathe while he's on screen and not
Mm.
have to be riding on a mental bicycle for 5 miles
he's from
at a time.
Scotland.
God.
I think it also helped that like even in his appearance in the Giggle, which I had some issues with the Giggle as a whole. I think he even grabbed the role with both hands and like just went from the word go. I'm going to make this my all.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, like
Rose,
him and Neil Patrick Harris were the best thing about the Giggle. So I mean, there's that.
there was that. Uh,
So
uh,
Connor already kind of said Ruby meh. What do you
Yeah,
two
I
think
didn't
of
say that.
Ruby?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
You said Millie Gibson's good.
That's true. I did say that.
And
I'm not big on Ruby myself. I again Millie, a great actress. I really enjoyed her. Just I don't know. Maybe it is the constant, modern day Earth Girl companion thing that New Who has refused to let go of for fucking 20 plus years, or no, nearly 20 years.
Apart
sorry.
from Nardole.
Yeah,
Nardole.
but Nardole. And Series 10 is one of the best anyway. But I don't know. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's again mystery box companion.
and
I don't know. Nothing.
honestly, I think where Ruby the character falls flat is in the same way that Series 7B Clara falls flat in that I don't think falls flat nearly to the degree that Series 7B Clara falls flat because Series 7B Clara was literally just a plot device for 8 episodes.
I'll say this: even though Ruby Sunday is sort of. I don't feel like I know her particularly well. She's not like fucking annoying, and that's probably
Yeah.
helped.
She's a nice girl.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
she's a fun person.
Yeah.
But you are right in that her character lacks the cohesion and the things that make characters good to watch, which like the whole thing of I think it kind of can be summed up in what I was my experience watching the end of the finale is that I feel like I'm watching something where two people have experienced a lot together, but I wasn't there for most of it. So there's not
yeah.
that third
So
thing.
so maybe it's that. I have seen people criticize the amount of episodes being a problem, and I kind of agree with that. I think it's more for me, and I think for a lot of us, it's more a 45-minute syndrome kind of thing, where
I
stories
will
just aren't quite
say,
having the room to breathe. Um, more
reading
episodes would
some of
obviously
the
be appreciated.
interviews, reading some of the interviews given, I'm trying to read between the lines. It feels like Davies might have written these to be 50 minutes,
That's
thinking
possible.
since that's what Chibnall got,
Mm.
and since we're largely moving to streaming, runtimes can be flexible. But I've checked the episode runtimes, and they were all cut pretty heavily to fit 45.
Yeah, I think
and
it
we
was
know,
only 70. I think it was 73 yards, and Empire of Death got a bit more than the others.
Mm.
yes, and
and
73 yards in
one of
particular.
them is
But the title
obviously
sequence,
Hugo bait, and the other one's the finale.
the finale obviously got
Did
the
you say
extent.
fucking Hugo bait?
I did, yes.
Goddamn.
I mean, he deserves at least a Hugo nom. Um, but
You-
yeah, my entire point is I think there's some restrictions. I'm not sure who's imposing the restrictions. It's very possibly Disney Plus because I've seen some of the other stuff that Disney Plus has put out, and a lot of times there are things where it does feel like the runtime is restricting. Uh, and this is sort of
See,
oddly enough a thing.
I don't know. I've watched a fair few Disney Plus originals. I don't think I don't know. They swing wildly in both directions, I think.
I mean, you got to
that's
remember
possible.
he is still answering a little bit to the BBC
Yeah.
because he has to
yeah.
broadcast on their channel.
Yeah, exactly. Because it still has an official time slot on BBC One. Like I would say it's more a BBC thing.
Yeah,
Disney's just distributing it and getting a cut of the money it makes.
Mhm.
I hope for
And they do
season
have a
two,
bit of
honestly,
creative input.
I hope for season two, these are the kinks that are worked out first because they're from just from an outsider looking in, but I think they're the ones that's hurting, that's like holding back this season the most in subtle ways. Like
I think every story should be a
obviously,
6-parter.
I mean,
I mean, we joke, but I did see a great take from one of our good friends from the days of old. That like Flux was kind of the right format going forward, just not executed well. I don't know. I think obviously serialization has treated
That
Doctor Who well over the years.
Flux, if it was good, would be 12-part supremacy in classic Who terms.
Yeah, Dalek's master plan. I mean, you got to have a pretty big idea to pull that off. But
Yeah,
along
yeah.
those
So,
lines, I suppose.
mhm. But I mean,
I think
maybe more like
Flux
more
is
like 3-parters.
something as big as Flux, you might not be able to do every year.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
My
I
idea
wouldn't
was
want
to
do it
do
every year.
my idea was to do more of a late classic series type thing where you do like 4 serials a season, so 4 2-parters. That way you stay within your 8-episode limit, but you're still got plenty of stories to go around.
Mm.
But anyway, so we should probably move on from our general thoughts and feelings on our mains and jump into the actual substance the meat of the series itself, the episodes. And the first one I want to cover is Church on Ruby Road, because that's the first
excuse
one.
me, Church on Ruby Road isn't part of the season. It's a Christmas special, so I don't think we should talk
Disney
about it
Plus
further.
has retroactively inserted it as episode 1 of season
Yeah,
1.
Babies
which is
wanted
weird.
the
Which is weird.
series.
Which is
They wanted
weird. Which is weird because they still have a separate page for Church on Ruby Road as its own special. Weird. But yeah, Church on Ruby Road.
Yeah, but they want the newbies to know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very
Um,
clear from the season that someone wanted this to air in January initially, the entire season as a
Mhm.
whole. Christmas specials will start early January, full season. I'm glad they took the time because it was
Russell
clearly,
just likes April for some reason.
I argue it's probably a lot of the effects work, probably on the finale specifically.
mm.
Like you can tell a lot of work went into some of the finale sequences to make them look presentable. Shall we
And to be
say.
fair, do you think this Bad Wolf team would want to do like the sweatshop thing that Disney does with other productions, where they literally have to do everything in 6 weeks and get paid
No.
pennies?
No, I mean it's a UK production already. The UK already has better labor protections than the US, which is where
Bad Wolf
like,
is unionized, I think. I'm not. I can't confirm that, but I think it might be unionized.
I mean, I don't even know
I'm
if
not
it's
sure.
unionized. I just know that the UK has better has better labor protection laws on the books than the US does. Um, uh, Despite the UK going through Thatcher as prime minister, but Church on the Grid, I think it's actually a good special. Like, I think it's a solid introduction.
I remember liking it.
It's I rewatched it like the day before the series was gonna premiere, uh, and I enjoyed a lot of what it what it set up, a lot of the things it set up. It set up the mystery of Ruby's mother, which I'm kind of mixed on overall. Uh, uh, in terms of how that actually played out, I think the goblins ended up being really like sort of fun threat.
Fucking
Connor's
Connor.
pointing at
Okay,
me,
yeah,
and
people
I'm
can't see this right now, but Connor is pointing menacingly at Jacob. Jacob
Oh.
is your name actually Door, Jacob? Are we
Well,
unaware of
you
this?
mentioned Ruby's mother, and that's what I have to do whenever her name's brought up.
That's true. What is her name again?
Louise Miller.
What? You know,
Yeah,
the actress also kind of
Spoilers,
looks
by the
like
way.
Sheridan Smith. Okay, Brian, whatever. But yeah, no. Church on Ruby Road, solid. I remember making a strong first impression of first full proper impression for Shudigawa for me. I remember really enjoying him coming off of that episode.
I adore the musical number. Like,
I gotta be real, same here. Specifically the reprise as some Shudigawa. I thought that was fun.
I'm sorry.
God,
Again,
God,
Connor
you've
just
seen some of that
like
reprise.
Connor just turned like a devastating glare onto both of you after saying
I
you
remember-
enjoyed the
Oh,
music.
Well, I
that's
don't
what
disagree.
happened.
I liked it.
Oh, you did
Yeah, it's
like
fun,
it?
yeah.
Oh, I'm the only one who didn't
And I
like
should
it.
say,
Yeah, it's like
I also don't particularly love Christmas specials.
Mm.
There's only a handful that I like.
I do remember making a joke that like if somebody was watching this for the first time ever and like had never seen Doctor Who before and they watched like the first 3 episodes, Church on Ruby Road, Space Babies, and Devil's Cord, I think they would just think Doctor Who was all like babies and musical numbers. Like that would be all it is. Because why is that so heavily the focus of the first 3 episodes for
That's a
Shudigawa?
good question.
That is
maybe it's the Disney thing.
maybe. I kind of doubt it, but I mean maybe.
Especially
What?
what the Devil's Cord does. Knowing Disney, I doubt it.
I would
Yeah.
think that if
Very like 90s Disney musical film like kind of thing.
Mm.
I would think that in
Where
your
was it,
bid
though?
to get Doctor Who on Disney Plus, you would want to try and play to the Star Wars crowd a little bit, and I can
And
see
they
maybe
do
Star
not do that.
They do not do that.
That is a dangerous thing.
Well,
No, don't do that.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna put another science fiction show on the same streaming platform that Star Wars is on, you would maybe want to open it with something like "Boom" to get the Star Wars fans in.
Boom. Yeah.
I mean, it's
but
I wouldn't say all, but I assume there's some crossover, given it's sort of science fantasy, science fiction of sorts.
I can see the Star Wars nerds who are infinitely more serious than Doctor Who nerds. Not.
I don't know. They're about on the same level, man.
I mean, I would argue that some of the Star Wars nerds that are serious aren't serious because they are serious.
That's true.
You get what I mean?
Very true.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems
Point
like
being-
a lot of the
point
time
being-
it seems
point
like
being
Star Wars nerds
being-
hate fun.
Sci-fi is silly, and people should stop taking it seriously in general. Is really
That I agree with. But,
Um,
what did you think of Church on Ruby Road, Connor?
It was good fun, but I think it doesn't quite go to the depths of some of the stuff later. But I think it does have a few small traits, I would say, of things that came later, especially in terms of episode structure. Despite being an hour, it still felt really stuffed in.
Yeah, that's my big issue with it. There are things I liked about it, but it felt very rushed and pressed for time.
Yeah, I think possibly that. I mean, it certainly makes me feel old, but it's possible that this may have something to do with the fact that, like one of you said before, this is about capturing a new audience, and this is the TikTok generation. So everything has to be dopamine, 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 dopamine all the time. But I just think that by doing that,
I'm
you're
gonna push back against that point. I don't
Actually,
I don't-
my
I think-
favorite. Sorry, I didn't hear you talking, Jacob. Continue.
I think the criticism of things being necessarily cut for the TikTok generation of always moving. That's kind of criticism through the entirety of film history. The new generation doesn't just pay attention. It first popped up a big time when television started. I think that's a little not too. I just think it's more a matter of Davies overstuffed things, and Davies, as a writer, especially writing Doctor Who, does have a tendency to overstuff things. I mean, all three showrunners kind of do, especially.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think it's just a general New Who problem. And again, I mean,
Which
it's a runtime thing.
It makes me think
they're-
about.
it's a runtime thing.
It makes me think about other, monster of the week anthology shows like Star Trek, which has always done an hour-long episode format, and why Doctor Who can't quite get to grips with it.
I mean, Star Trek is a bit more grounded, isn't it? Star Trek, at least, like, it doesn't need to set up a brand new location supporting cast of characters every single week. Whereas Doctor Who, when the premise is, anywhere, anywhen, you kind of have to do that by necessity.
Star Trek will often take multiple episodes a season, at least, from the two Star Trek shows that I've seen, and confine things just to the Enterprise.
That's true.
And I'm going to be honest, with Doctor Who, as much as I would love at least one episode properly set in the TARDIS and use the TARDIS as a threat, I think someone needs to actually do that again after about 60 years since we've done that last properly.
I mean, Journey to the Center of the
television?
TARDIS exists.
No, that doesn't count.
So
That doesn't
I know. Look, I know it's not good. I hate the episode too, but that is what that is.
It's its worst episode, and
It's not. It's okay. No, Jacob.
Yes,
Jacob.
yes.
The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe happened like a year before that.
That's also really bad. But
It's the worst. It is.
specifically.
It is the worst Smith episode.
So not a lot to say on Church on Ruby Road. Then it's just kind of
I will say,
fine.
Well,
I like the set. I like
it's
a lot of
good.
the setup of Ruby's family.
That's what I was gonna
I
say.
enjoy-
Cherry is immediately likable. I love her.
Oh yeah,
love
she's great.
where is my cup of tea?
Good shit.
Davies,
I love a
Da-
sassy old lady.
Yep.
What Davies kind of does in this season as a whole, and in this episode, is he's introducing characters by sort of this almost soap opera rules of make a joke, make a friend, make a plot point happen, and that's how you get a
Mm.
character on the audience's side. And
I mean, that's how I
As
meet people in
shorthand-
real life.
Yeah.
as
I hate small talk. I love humor.
Uh,
Like, I don't want to know what
You-
your dad does for a job. I want to know what your thoughts are on, like, really interesting topics. Maybe it's a neurodiverse thing, actually. It's possible.
possible. It's possible. Do you make plot points happen? It's the real question.
If I
Uh,
choose to if I choose to upset a certain situation, yeah, I can make plot happen.
I'm
What am I
annoyed that we
saying?
have multiple mystery boxes and that we're carrying some of them over, but part of that is tempered by just the fact that you have Anita Dobson as Mrs. Flood, and like her performance is just a vibe. Like
She's lovely. I do. Here's the thing. I wasn't really onto the whole Mrs. Flood mystery until like her very last scene, because I don't know. I think that last scene is like really
Davies
charming.
keeps
in a
dressing her
way.
up as other companions, and I need to know.
Yeah,
why.
I
What is he
noticed that
planning?
too. Okay, well, here's the thing. Before I saw the thread on Twitter, of somebody being like, "Oh, it's all companion outfits," I was like, "Oh, she's dressed as Romana at the end there. What's with that?" But then I saw that.
And then
Russell,
I clocked. I was like, "Hang on, isn't that what they put Jenna Coleman in Face
See,
the
I-
Raven?"
I did not clock that. 'cause
Well,
that just
they
kinda
they
looked like
even
an
draw
outfit to
attention
me.
to it, where I think comes back later and says something like, "Oh, you clever boy."
Oh yeah, I think somebody said that. Yeah, I saw that.
Clever boy.
Clever boy.
Gotta say though, I had no clue for most of the series that was Brian May's wife, and as a big Queen fan, I really
we live
appreciate
in a world
that.
where Brian May, astrophysicist and member of Queen,
Yep,
is
legend that he
actively
is.
watching Doctor Who. Also,
And-
so
and-
is
and-
Cyndi
and- and-
Lauper,
and man-
apparently.
And man with the most powerful hair in existence, Brian May. Who was the other person you were mentioning?
Cyndi Lauper.
I did see that as well.
Yes, she saw some pyramids of Mars. What the hell?
Fucking pyramids of Mars, and in her beautiful, bizarre accent said Sutek on live TV. That was great. I love that.
Is her accent? Is it?
I don't know. But what's not to love, really? But yeah.
Girl,
So-
just wanna have fun.
Church on Ruby Road. One last thing. My favorite my favorite bit of the episode is the sequence where we get the Doctor running into Ruby at the start. I think that's actually a really
Mm.
solid way of subtly introducing the Doctor
Yeah. That was
in a soft reboot kind of way.
So
I think it's been a while since I watched it, but I think there was a scene in the kitchen with them that I really liked when they were looking at the photos of all the adopted,
Oh,
or not
yeah,
adopted,
yeah.
but like the fostered children. I thought that was, especially for the actors, it gave them a chance to really, like, I guess, get close as friends. It's hard to explain, but that was the scene where I was just like, oh, these two are really, really good together as actors. They have a lot of chemistry.
And RTD's basically like, I hope you enjoyed the character development in this episode, because it's all you're getting.
because Ruby remains kind of static. At
Yeah.
this point, I mean, it's not like, again, a character like Clara in Series 7B, where she's literally just
Clara.
plot plays. Gibson at least is
I would
bringing
say-
energy to the role and has a characterization,
I would say the
even if he's not
Doctor
going on a
and
character arc.
and more so Ruby we get good establishing stuff with them, and then for the remainder of the season their roles are kind of purely functional. They're not like unenjoyable. They're actually very
There's some good
functional
character
for
stuff in
functional.
Ruby and there's some good character stuff with Ruby in 73 Yards, but it's not a real timeline, so she doesn't actually maintain
Yeah,
much of it.
that's the thing that does annoy me about that in 73 yards is that like it's that development
That's
doesn't
maybe my
really
one
matter in
problem
the
with
end.
that episode specifically. Was
Seems like we want to delve into other stuff now. So let's
Yeah.
move on.
Although unfortunately there is the next episode.
Space
you guys
Babies.
are gonna hate me for this one.
Space Babies is probably my least favorite of the season. I don't
It's
hate it.
it's the worst.
but-
yes,
Come on.
but I don't.
It's-
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's. I think it's just aggressively kind of
Jacob,
mediocre.
you're fucking wrong. Here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna fucking
Oh,
admit,
Joey
know-
feels very
okay,
strongly about
no.
this one.
I fucking no. I went really soft on Space Babies when it first aired, but I think literally only because I was enjoying Shurigawa, and I really hated that his second episode was one that I really didn't like. So I was like, you know what? It's maybe like a 4 or 5 out of 10. It's bad, but it's not like horrible. No. Now that I know there are actually good episodes after that, it's fucking awful. I fucking hate Space Babies. It needs to fucking die.
I will say I think Julianne Robinson, who directed Space Babies and Boom, is sadly probably the weakest director of this season, especially for Space Babies. Boom comes out pretty all right. I don't think she quite has a handle on directing Space Babies.
Yeah, Space Babies I just imagine was hard to direct.
That too. Aren't they using some of the Joey, you should know what it's called. I know you're a big Star Wars fan. The stuff that the Mandalorian and Boba Fett used.
Oh, the volume?
Yeah, that thingy.
Yeah. Yeah, the volume. Yeah.
The big old like virtual
the big
screen.
old screen that makes your sets for you. Yeah.
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 Which is
Hey,
good
your
when
big
used
old face.
It's good when used properly. And it's just
I mean,
most
it's
people
like
don't
any
use
other
it
piece of
properly.
filmmaking technology.
Well, it's
piece of
used pretty
technology.
well in Boom.
Yeah, I do like Boom. I do like yeah. It's here's the thing. If
And
I
I
can't
think
really,
I think
if I can't really notice that it's the volume, then it's good. that's exactly how I feel.
But yeah, no, Space
Um,
Babies is a real hokey episode, and it's the fact that it's the series premiere proper is quite frankly fucking embarrassing. Like,
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'll say one good thing about it, and that was that I fucking love my favorite thing about it. I loved and again, it's mostly just another compliment for Shurigawa. And I just love the Doctor taking joy in the misery of others. I love that bit when he just like scares them all, scares all the kids by showing them the monster and all that, and he just starts laughing. And like the bit when Ruby has like all the snot on her like underneath the base, and he just starts like dying laughing. I was like, I fucking love those moments. Because again, it's for me at least, I think like that's how you portray the Doctor being alien. It's not by like the LOL so quirky, Peter Capaldi doesn't know how humans work thing. It's the Doctor genuinely being like amused by weird.
Clara,
alien
I need some
things.
cue cards. I don't understand how to talk.
the entirety of the fucking caretaker. It's just like I don't know. I can't.
I didn't
But
even
no.
be reminded that the caretaker existed.
What is it? There's
Well,
there's that bit in the lodger where they're like, "Oh, we're playing football." Is that the one with the sticks?
oh,
It's like how the fuck do you not? How does he not know? How does he not know? It makes no fucking sense.
I mean, we know
Fucking,
he
like,
should know.
right? Like fucking favorite planet my ass. Like no, like that's not how that works. Oh man. But no, I back on what I was saying. I think that's how you actually portray the Doctor being alien, is being like fascinated and taking joy in like weird alien things like that. I think that's cool. And also again, just the Doctor being kind of a dick is fun. So
so I take it you enjoy Space Babies, Jacob.
I think it's fine. I don't love it. I like Gotwin Gibson. Like Joey said, I like the being a bit of a dick.
it's fun. It's fun.
It's nowhere near like the dumbest Davies script he's ever like in terms of stuff. This is the man who did farting aliens while also implementing a post 9/11 war in Iraq
The
commentary.
fucking space
And it was
shit.
great. And you're
The
wrong.
spaceship shits at the end, dude. What do you mean?
I mean that is true. He did get you there, Jake. But no, are you trying to say Space Babies is better than Aliens of London?
No.
I'd say it's no.
Jake, I was
Aliens
gonna
of
say,
London-
Jake, come on, be fucking real.
No,
Come on.
I mean it's better than say New Earth. which is
I
probably my
still
least
don't know
favorite
about
Davies
that.
premiere.
I
I do.
still
I
don't
also
know
just
about
do
that.
not like New Earth like at
New
all.
Earth, New Earth isn't great, but it's not as bad as Space Babies.
They have
man.
quite a
Come
few
on.
similarities when you think about it. There's
They do.
things that they have in common.
I know.
Like?
I do like the things that Davies drew on from End of the World for Space Babies as well. Mainly
Oh
because
yeah,
it's
well, yeah, well, yeah,
conservation
they literally do the shot of the Ruby looking down at the Earth and all that.
yes.
Yeah,
But I mean,
but it's not
I
as
think
good.
that's also. I think that's also just a good shot to do. Again, if you want to onboard a new audience, like, and there may only be so many ways to do that. Especially
And
since
this is
at this point we have 13
this is
seasons of
completely off
television.
topic.
What's up, Connor?
And this is completely off topic, but I'm looking up album artwork on this website, and it came up with the Boldstrick font, and now I'm angry.
Ah, no.
Show
What a
card
video-
Gothic
what-
yellow.
What a video! to bring
Karaoke
up
star!
on.
Instrumental versions! This is
Oh my
woke!
God.
This was made by
Um,
the Nutty Doctor!
Okay. Fucking damn it. Oh man, I forgot he existed for a little bit there, you bastard. No. No, back on Space Babies.
The most stupid thing
You know
I've
who
ever
hate?
heard
You know who
is
hated
saying,
Space
Babies
Babies?
has gone woke.
You know who hated Space Babies?
A lot of people.
Bulls Trek.
Oh, does that surprise you?
No.
But he already hated it before it even.
Yeah, I think yeah. But no, I mean, one other nice thing I could say is I do like the design of the Bogeyman. I thought it's just a cool monster design. Otherwise, that's about it.
You can also see why they
You know what?
would have wanted to bring back Lenny Rush for the season finale, in a different role, obviously. 'Cause he was doing one of the baby
He was-
voices.
Oh, he's doing one of the voices. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, how do we do this whole conversation without bringing up the fucking horrifying mouth CGI?
I was gonna
Completely.
say we did talk about the
Oh,
both-
yeah. Ugh.
I mean, at least they were trying to be ambitious with it, but also it didn't integrate at all well.
You know what else? You know what
Well,
else?
see, the thing
ambitious?
is that,
You,
like,
you know what
the-
else is
the thing is
ambitious,
the-
Jacob? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Connor.
the problem with that is not actually to do with the effects. It's the fact that babies can't act because they can't consent to acting, so they don't know what's happening. Whereas you compare it to something like the CGI they did in Wild Blue Yonder, it is very like Blender-ish, but the actors are able to make it work because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's
They're
the
making
difference.
choices.
Yeah,
Whereas
I love
Whereas
it
the,
when
ba- the problem with the
babies are
babies is
having-
like the top half of their face and their mouth is not the same thing. It's so incongruent.
I love it when they're having these deep conversations with Ncuti Gatwa and their eyes are just completely blank and dead
Yeah.
because they're babies.
Shout out to that one baby though that looked like eternally concerned about everything. I think he's the main kid. His eyes were just his eyebrows were always just in this like worried furrow. It was
Is that the one that
really
looked like
funny.
Ian Levine?
A little bit. I think most babies look like Ian Levine. I think. So,
I think that says more about
God,
Ian Levine
he's
than
been
anything.
he's been very bad lately. He's been a bad
he has
boy.
been fucking unhinged lately. Oh my god.
Has he been? He's been bad since like 1986, guys.
I have been making it until my dying days, and the Celestial Toymaker animation is the last straw.
He's
Or
a modern day Van Gogh, guys. Come on.
So true. That is what he literally said about himself. But Connor, I also realized you made Ian Levine sound a lot like a certain person that most of us used to know here. And no, I can't get that out of my head.
They have a lot in common, apart from
They actually do.
apart from the hidden gem.
Oh man,
Christ.
fucking hell.
You think
Brian,
Ian Levine likes the Skyman?
I suggest we move on, Brian.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
so
let's talk about some great Doctor Who.
The Devil's Cord is next, which is also another RTD episode. So at this point, we've had 6 in a row by RTD.
Yeah.
6 in a row. I love this one. Like, I think it's
Okay, you know what's weird is I really enjoyed it too, but I think weirdly, it's kind of overshadowed by the following like 4 episodes. So I think I kind of forgot how much I actually really enjoyed it by the end of the series.
You're not wrong. Here's the thing. It's the thing about this season is because we're only in I guess 9 episodes with Church on Ruby Road. Uh, like when it hits really hard, it hits really hard and does really, really great things. Uh, and like Devil's Court, I think, is the start of that ramp where we have just this run from episodes 2 to 6.
It's the upturn. It's the second it starts getting really good, and then like it's we're finally there by the next episode. But I think Devil's Court is great. It's an episode I really enjoyed.
I wanted more of the Beatles.
That's fair.
More of George and Ringo, please.
We could have done more of the Beatles, but I will say, mainly, I think we should have done it in ways that we wouldn't have used Beatles music, because, as we know, even covers of like some of the early Beatles stuff that are already covers, licensing for that really expensive.
I think we should just sing Beatles music for the rest. I think we should just sing Beatles music for the rest of this video, just to bury this.
About the Beatles thing though, I have a.
Let me take you down.
I have some friends who are big fans of the Beatles in real life, and so the end of this episode actually bothers them a lot because I think John Lennon
and Paul saving the day
they famously cannot read music.
Oh, that makes that even funnier to me. Then I love that.
I mean, they saved the day with a C major chord. It's not a particularly difficult chord to play on the piano.
But they understand piano chords.
Okay.
It's I do think, oddly enough, the score. For the
I watched Get Back by Peter Jackson. I know what they were doing.
But they, I guess they only finish that chord off because they see the notes preceding it.
Yes, but Brian, they had a magic Guitar Hero tutorial on screen, in front of them.
How you gonna fight that, Brian?
Woke up.
No, but what I want to say, I think a lot of the music Murray Gold wrote for the episode is really good.
He was in it. He was actually in the episode.
He was in the episode.
Yeah, actually. Speaking of
musical, Johnny Sins looking man,
looking as dead in the eyes as I always imagine him looking when he writes music.
Well, he didn't write the lyrics to Twist at the end. I heard somewhere he had reservations about doing it.
Here's the thing. Okay, so let's talk about that song right now, actually, because I don't know why the complaint is that breaks the immersion of the episode. Like, if you made it all the way through that fucking episode and that was the thing that broke your immersion, I don't know what the fuck you were watching in the previous 40 minutes.
They were literally fighting physical musical notes. Like, what?
Yeah. I don't know how the musical number at the end.
Well, how about when
could break your immersion?
If I may, I'd like to make a quick note about the background scoring. I liked that Gold until that C major chord worked a lot of his music without musical resolution. I'm a music nerd. I play the trumpet. And that was the piece I've been trying to get out for the last 5 minutes.
Oh, sorry, Jacob. Sorry.
Yes. Sorry. It's.
You are no longer constipated.
You don't know me.
Also, your camera's also getting even more and more unhinged to me, Jacob, because there are no lights on in your room right now.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to
as it gets darker outside, you're just getting more shrouded in the shadows of your room. It's quite fun.
Bashta Narada.
So what did we think of Maestro?
I like Maestro. Maestro's a really fun character.
She licked a conductor's wand and made a noise.
I also liked Maestro. I thought Maestro
I think Maestro is going to divide opinion. It depends on your whether or not you can enjoy extravagant drag acting. Some people really don't like it. Some people really enjoy it. I think
it might even just
there is.
I think it might even just come down to how hammy you can take a villain. You know?
Yeah, so I know that
I-
I know that Dylan and Will really didn't like Maestro. It's because they don't like that kind of acting.
It is funny though, because like on Hammy acting, like if you could make it through like damn near every classic Doctor Who villain, and I think kind of be put off by Maestro. I think that's a little weird. Because in my
Well,
opinion,
the
I think it's sort of
difference
like
the difference might be in the writing. So a lot of those classic Who villains are played hammily, but they take themselves seriously. Whereas Maestro,
You think
Yeah.
also maybe that
Maestro
this
is a
one has
hammy
more of a-
performance that isn't written seriously either.
Mm.
Do you think also maybe that
Say,
because this one
Monsieur
has
can
like
also
this
do
one has
serious acting.
Jacob Connor has been trying to talk.
I was just trying to say, like, do you think maybe also because this one has a very heavy sexual element as well, which is different to a lot
Maybe.
of classic Who?
Maybe.
And by sexual, I don't mean like because you could look at hammy classic Who villains like Syl, for example, that he's sexual in nature, that he's perverted, but he doesn't have an openly "I'm showing you the sexual thing I am to you," which is different to desiring another person. Like Maestro is very like, look how sexy I am.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I personally hadn't really viewed the character that way before. But I do see.
I
Where
mean,
you're coming from with
I don't necessarily have an issue with it, but I'm just guessing why others might.
that. Yeah. No, I get you. But I
You really
mean,
should have
I
had
really
Dylan
enjoyed
on
it.
this. You really should have had Dylan
Wait.
on this, Brian. He would have been interesting.
He hasn't been watching it. What are you
He
talking
hasn't
about?
watched it.
Just strap him down to a chair.
He watched one of these episodes in its entirety. So
Yeah, he saw 3 minutes of Space Babies. He's like, I had to fucking turn it off because it is insufferable.
God, I love your Dylan impression so much. I need for you to talk about the way that he doesn't think that Shudigawa is the Doctor.
Oh my
It's just
god.
problem in it. Like, he just doesn't act like the Doctor. Like, he's just so fucking gay.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
Um,
Dylan. We love you.
we do, we really do.
It's funny because in like real world things, he's quite progressive and liberal, but when it comes to Doctor Who, he's the biggest conservative. Everything has to be the way it was in season one, otherwise
he's
it's
not
bad.
the biggest conservative, Connor. Let's.
Okay, within our group,
That's true.
within our reasonable group, not within the entire fandom.
Yeah.
I was gonna say he's.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was great. Oh man.
Um.
Oh, this is also where we start setting up Susan, if you will. Because we get a mention of the Doctor living in a junkyard in 1963, etc.
We actually get a
Um,
little clue as to what's coming with Sutek in this episode too, which a lot of people
Yeah.
picked up on at the time. So that scene that's shoplifted from Pyramids of Mars is the scene where Ruby goes, well,
Yeah,
we can just go back to 2024.
That's right.
And-
I remember you calling that out when it aired, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's cool." And then I remember thinking it was even an even cooler connection when the Susan
Well,
reveal did
in
happen.
retrospect, it's
'cause-
probably it was put there intentionally to,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Because I kind of like the idea that it's like it's Well, I kind of like the idea that like it's not when Daleks are fucking with time, you can stop them or whatever. But like when one of these gods are fucking with time, like, it has like serious consequences in the far future, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I remember at the time a lot of people were complaining about that scene though, and for some reason they had issues.
Yeah, well, people on Twitter will complain about anything.
They were, but people within our group were like, "Oh, that scene is shit because they're just ripping off Pyramids of Mars," and I was sort of like, just because something's derivative doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of Doctor Who is derivative of itself and of other things.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a pretty good way to establish.
You
the
know, the
rules.
Daleks is shit because it's derivative of World War II.
It's a pretty
I
good
mean,
way.
I was gonna say, the Hinchcliffe era is almost entirely derivative of classic.
Well,
literature.
I was thinking, it's also just that scene from Pyramids of Mars. If you take it and put it in a soft reboot of Doctor Who, it's a good way of establishing some time travel rules for new viewers and showing the.
What is it that Stephen Moffat said? He's like, if you're gonna steal from the best.
I think that's a time
I don't even
tested
think that's
quote.
just- Yeah, that's. I don't think that's just Moffat. That's just a piece of writing advice.
Yeah, well, he literally stole like one of his major traits from Tarantino, but that's neither here nor there.
So, we all liked The Devil's Cord then.
Is it-
I will
It's a
say
good-
one thing
it's a
about
good
Devil's
time.
Court, though. I will say one thing about it is I find the 6-month thing a bit weird.
Yeah, I didn't even like catch on to that the first time I watched it, and people were like, "Oh, what? They've already been traveling 6 months," and like I did not get that at all. But all right, cool.
No, it was
Yeah,
odd.
Well,
It really was.
there were
Well, it's
people
odd
theorizing
dialogue.
that it was not originally supposed to be the second episode, and
Well, they were wrong. It
yeah,
was.
yeah, think it's it more plays into the issues with the series just not having enough time to develop a relationship between these characters. So to cut corners, RTD was just like, yeah, they've already been going at it for a while between episodes.
Thinking I thought you meant
they've
something
been,
else,
they've,
Brian.
they've been going at it. You say.
Anyway, let's move on to
I mean, they are very nice looking actors. I'll say that.
let's move on to a very cleverly written Doctor Who story.
Oh, he
Stephen
stands on a
Moffat.
bomb for a whole
Yes,
episode.
he
I'm,
is so clever.
I'm Stephen Moffat, and I'm so clever. He steps
You
on
know,
a
I think
landmine,
it'd be
and that's
great.
the episode. That's the fucking episode. I had this idea, and
You
it's
know,
so clever. I just step on a landmine and write 45 minutes about it. It's so clever. I just had to sit there and laugh. I said,
You know what I
Russell,
think would be-
it'll be a
good?
great cost-saving episode. Holy shit, I'm a genius. I'm so fucking clever.
You see, I come back to Doctor Who and I thought, well, now we got Disney money, so we'll make an entire village with millions of dollars and use it for 2 minutes. You don't even need it. It's so clever. And then you go to the end and we once again remember the one rule is that the most powerful thing in the universe is the love between a parent and a child. I bet you forgot because I've been gone for so long, but now you remember. It's all about
and then
love.
and then I'm gonna go and write a fucking series about me getting fucking cancelled. You know, like fucking what? Like seriously.
Okay, but in seriousness,
It's a
I
fucking
hate
great
to say
episode.
it, but
I
Boom
fucking
was
love
good.
Boom. It's
like
fucking-
I was like
such a good episode.
I would probably
I know,
like
I
it.
was like
I would probably like it more if I wasn't traumatized by all the Moffatisms from the Moffat era reappearing in it.
I don't know. I didn't think it was too prevalent. Personally,
Like on
I
one
wouldn't-
level, I thought it was good, but it has all the It is a very Moffat episode. It has all the hallmarks of like Stephen Moffat's weaker elements. that
Good and
play in
bad. It
as
has some of
well.
its good stuff too. Like, let's not forget that Moffat is good at some things.
Yeah.
I don't
much as
know.
we make fun of him.
I gotta be real. I don't think I disliked like fucking anything.
Well, I disagree.
I
These things
I,
are-
okay,
was
no,
a
I'm
bit
sorry. I'm
iffy.
sorry. I lie. I think the one thing I didn't like, and it's just my hatred of the 11th Doctor, is the fucking randomness of Shooty calling out fish fingers and custard for no fucking reason at all. I feel like
Know
it's,
that was a
it's just
And you
just-
thought you
just-
forgot, but I came back just to remind you.
and
Um,
again, it's
yeah.
not the only Muppet episode we're getting this year.
I mean,
He's doing a
I-
Christmas special.
He is. You know what?
Hopefully,
Okay,
it's a Husbands of River song and not a Doctor Wit in the Wardrobe.
you know what?
I was gonna say,
Here's what I've been thinking about actually is that we've sort of been like setting up the whole setting up again, quote unquote setting up a potential Susan return. I think a Susan return is a great Christmas special idea, personally.
Interesting.
And Stephen Moffat's gonna be the one to fucking write it.
I was
Could
gonna
you
say I
fucking
wouldn't want
imagine?
a Susan return written by Stephen.
You
Moffat.
just know, though. You just know that she's going to be like, Doctor, you came back the long way round.
Oh! Oh! Oh!
Okay. Let's we're gonna,
It's
I'm
so
gonna
terrible.
we're gonna bring this shit in because Connor, I hate to say it, Connor's like 100% correct.
Oh,
I-
thank you.
you-
That's a first.
You hate to say that Connor's correct.
I mean, look, I just wish Moffat wasn't so predictable. Okay, that wasn't. You know what? This is. I miss this bullshit when I'm the one that isn't chaotic in the call.
You see, it's so clever because I made Jacob all flustered like that, and
It's not difficult to do, Joey, and you know that.
I'm well aware, Jacob.
But
So
But you
anyway,
see-
I'll say some genuine things. I think the child character actor wasn't the best, and as Brian said, some of the Moffat tropes were annoying. But on the whole, I did like Boom. I think it was mainly carried by the acting from the regulars. That was very strong. I wish we got to see.
Shooty is so fucking good. Actually, actually, this is probably, in my opinion, Millie Gibson's second best episode. 73 Yards, of course, being the best.
Yeah,
but
she
I
wasn't
thought
in it
the-
as much though, was she? Because she was knocked out for the second half.
yeah.
I don't know. I really loved her in the first half,
Actually,
though.
to counter your point, Connor, I think the problem wasn't necessarily with the acting of the child. I think it was the script was
That's
written
also
for
a thing.
much younger
That's
child.
But that's a thing though, is that sometimes, I mean, and not in all cases, there are examples where he does it well, but sometimes when you get an episode like this, Moffat writes children this way, and it's very annoying. I wish that he would.
I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah.
I think it was just a
Didn't hate
little
it.
awkward because
Didn't hate it. Just felt like
a
it
little
wasn't on the
old.
wasn't on the level. But yeah, I did like Boom overall, but I don't love it because it's just Stephen Moffat. I'm just so done with him. I'm so done with Stephen Moffat.
I think that's how I feel about it, Connor. Honestly, yeah.
Maybe if I'd never seen Doctor Who before, like if I'd started the show here, I probably would have liked it a lot more because I hadn't been conditioned by his 6
So,
seasons as
See,
showrunner.
that's where I do kind of have to challenge that because I feel like I feel like you're not actually judging the episode on its own terms. Then at that point, you're
Maybe.
literally
Judging-
letting completely
Or
unrelated
judging
factors like.
judging the child on its own terms, I'd say.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But I think your main point here seems to be how I'm seeing your point at least
Mm.
is that yeah you're
Oh,
saying that like,
the other thing is that the other thing is I would say you could argue the amount of times that Ruby should have died is a bit of a stretch, but it's not impossible.
Yeah,
That's fair, I guess.
a lot of the issues that come of it being a Stephen Moffat script are just because it's generally a good episode doesn't mean they detract, or it doesn't mean they don't detract from the episode's quality.
Yeah.
Sometimes the whole
I like
I mean,
Boom
if
more than I
we're-
dislike it.
I mean, if we're talking about like Moffat's past undesirable characteristics of his Doctor Who episodes as showrunner,
Mhm.
I do think it's I
Well,
think he's doing almost
His
the
most
exact
recent
opposite.
episode before this one has
we've got the annoying clueless.
What no, I was just gonna say that I think this kind of does the exact opposite of one of those traits in that the whole point of the episode is literally about processing grief. And Moffat
Mhm.
was kind of allergic to killing off characters and kind of dealing with those topics beforehand.
He's
And
still,
I think it's a great change of pace. I thought it was done.
He still
really
ends
well.
That is
with-
true.
with a character not really dead, but I think there's something about the way that the AI works in this episode where it doesn't feel as bad of Stephen. I can't kill off a character, and I must make all of my major characters immortal. Moffat does because that's what he does. And I hate it.
Would it be fair to
Uh,
say that this is Boom is kind of like a compromise where it doesn't go quite to the levels he used to, but it's also still maintains some of his traits, but it tries to do it in a more balanced way as opposed to completely going off the end.
I wonder how. I
Yes.
have to wonder.
And I think some of the traits that it maintains the best are his better traits. Are
True. Yeah.
when
There is
because,
definitely
let's be honest,
some of his best stuff was in this too.
I have to wonder how hard.
Stephen Moffat can write a good episode of television. He can.
I just have to wonder how hard the episode was maybe script edited, if at all.
I didn't really feel that myself.
I mean, Russell has said before he barely ever script edits Stephen Moffat stuff. He's
If I
very
may,
confident
I
in them.
think I think that's a lie. I think there's at least one pass through Davies just in general through the process because some people
Yeah,
like
sure. Of course,
haven't
there's a
seen
pass
that.
through, but what he means by that is, despite looking at it, he doesn't feel like he needs to change much. That's what he said before.
Yeah, but that also doesn't tell us the little things that he changes because with Moffat, there
mean,
are a lot of
I
little
kind of-
things.
That
I
matter.
kind of always got the sense that the most Davies would do to a Moffat script in the past, it seemed, would be like series arc stuff. That's the way I saw it, at least. So like say in Boom's case, with the inclusion of the snow and also
Or
okay,
running
actually
time.
some of
That's the other thing. Running
yeah,
time.
yeah. So I don't know. That's the most that I would imagine Russell actually does to it. As far as editing the episode goes.
As opposed to someone like a Matt Jones, where he completely rewrote the same two-parter from scratch with the same idea.
She possibly didn't need to do because Matt Jones is actually a brilliant writer when it comes to Doctor Who.
But the end result was great, so I don't mind.
Yeah,
What a
that's
silent.
Still gave him his writing credit, still gave him his pay, so it's fine.
So Boom.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't love it, odds are you still thought it was decent.
Yeah, it's a good episode.
Yeah. 73 yards.
My favorite. I fucking love 73 yards with a passion.
Same. I honestly didn't expect that from you, Connor. I didn't think we'd agree that this is the best one of the series.
I could see an argument for Dot and Bubble, but for me personally, 73 yards hits a spot. It hits a specific spot in me that I just love. It's a different kind of great to a lemon squeezer. This is like an intellectually stimulating episode, as opposed to an EQ. It's more of an IQ, and it actually reminded me a lot more of like early Big Finish than RTD1. 73 yards did.
I mean, it's probably one of Davies, in terms of Davies scripts, his more experimental pieces.
For sure, it was.
Focusing on.
After I watched it, immediately after I watched it, I said, I feel like the TV show's never done this before. I mean, it's done stuff similar, but it's never done this specific thing.
Yeah,
It was
this is
very
very
interesting.
new, and I'm here for that. This was a very different episode from pretty much anything we've got.
I do accept the reality that it relies on the viewer to come with their own conclusion, and sometimes that conclusion can be unfounded. But for me personally, just speaking from my perspective, it made sense to me. The ending, like I got it.
An open-ended ending isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a lot of people. Doctor Who has a precedent for like explaining all of its sort of like, I guess, creepy.
Well,
bullshit
the
away.
main issue is that people are trying to use sci-fi like logic to expect what's from it, but the fact of the matter is that it's the logic in the episode isn't really based in sci-fi. It's more based in myth and horror and
It's
nightmare.
horror.
It's different. It's a different kind of thing, and this has been opened up by that scene in Wild Blue Yonder where they go to the edge of the universe, and now from there we start to see more of these kind of things enter into the show, and this is one of them. It's like we are seeing a very different kind of thing to sci-fi.
I think this is the best
it's also the way it's
implementation
been.
of this idea in the series.
Oh,
Yep,
definitely.
I agree.
Like, it's fantastic. Even we cut the title sequence mainly so we could have more time to actually tell this story. Even adds to just the atmosphere, the vibe. It's a story about isolation. Ruby becomes completely isolated because she steps on a fairy circle, and we break a fairy circle, and the world goes insane.
Also, that whole idea of what if something that you don't understand was 73 yards away from you for the rest of your life? That's cool.
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's so Doctor Who as well.
Okay, but I will say my suspension of disbelief was broken for one moment because I was really digging the atmosphere, and then the Kate Stewart unit scene happens where there's this dramatic close up on Kate Stewart's face and she goes disengage. I fucking
I think this was also perhaps the one episode where Kate Stewart as a character actually gets to be a character and is used effectively.
I mean,
At least on television with this version of Kate Stewart, because Kate Stewart as a character has always suffered from being a legacy character.
I mean, to varying degrees. She's more characterized in some stories than others. It's not like flatly bad in everything. But I understand what you mean in that they do a lot with her in 73 Yards, which is distinct from some of her other appearances where she is.
I will also say it doesn't help that I don't know if there are rights issues with the character because Kate Stewart was established in the 90s. Was created by Mark Platt, but could also be partially under the Hazeman estate.
Is it Mark Platt your favorite, Jacob, I should say.
I mean, he wrote my favorite doc. Yeah, please don't call me Jake.
Sorry.
That's my.
Do
you're fine. Joseph, don't you dare.
do more.
No, so Platt wrote my favorite Doctor Who story of all time, which is Lung Barrow. We're not going to go into that.
Looms.
I love the looms. But Platt also wrote Downtime, and he novelized it, which they expanded it quite a bit, and that's where Kate's from. And I think there might be some rights things. So the version of Kate Stewart we have on television isn't quite the version of Kate Stewart in Downtime. In Downtime, she's divorced and has a son called Gordy, I think. It's been a while since I've watched or read Downtime. We need to do that again. Downtime's fun. It's got Deborah Walkley in it. But I think 73 Yards is to my point is that Kate is actually allowed. Gemma Redgrave is mainly given her best material, like Gemma Redgrave going against, getting to play against Billy Gibson as like this fear takes her, and the relationship immediately deteriorates. It is really effective.
Why is it always in the like alternate timeline or parallel universe stories that the Lethbridge Stewarts do the best?
That's a good point. I'll also say, I think at least what emotionally affected me the most of the episode is the moment our villain, Roger F. Willem, is defeated. The episode keeps going, and it just kind of makes you sit with the fact that it's doing that nice subversion of
you have to die. You have to die.
You have to finish living your life and die, which is
that scene where the old Ruby is sitting on the hill looking at the TARDIS, just in utter confusion about when will this end? I'm just gonna keep waiting.
It's so effective. Honestly, it's probably one of Russell's best scripts for like. I wish we had more of this Russell more often.
I don't think you can. Though.
I don't think
it's too much of a special attraction.
And I don't think.
But I get what you mean in principle. In principle, I understand what you mean, but
at least maybe a Russell that was willing to go these types of places.
I also don't think it's the general direction he wants to take the series in. From what I've seen in interviews, he wants to sort of. He doesn't really want to keep doing claustrophobic stories because he has Disney money now, and why do the claustrophobic stories when you could do grand, epic stories?
Well, to be fair, with 73 Yards, they actually use a lot of stuff. They did a lot of location stuff, a lot of characters. they expanded it pretty well.
And yet, even with all these locations, you feel that isolation, and it's brilliant stuff. I don't.
I mean, I also would add,
surprisingly-
I also would add, I think that 73 Yards is masterful at abandonment, which is why it's my favorite for Ruby's character, because it tells you all you need to know about that side of it, about
Yes.
when someone is adopted, there is always going to be a sense of abandonment that follows them to their death, which happens in the episode. It follows her to her death. The scene where the nurse at the end is like, she can hear what Ruby's saying, but she's not really listening. She just doesn't really give a shit what Ruby's saying, is really sad, because this is an old dying woman who actually needs help, and the nurse says, okay, and yes, in the morning we'll blah 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 blah. Like, it was all very procedural, and that kind of shows the I guess the falsehood of customer service as well, which is something I can relate to.
I
Yeah.
really hope if someone's watching this and didn't quite vibe with the episode, to try to give it another chance and like try to engage with what it's trying to say.
I will say though, Will did point this out to me, that it is a little funny how in 2 episodes consecutively the Doctor accidentally stands on something, and that's how the plot happens. But I don't
I'll
hold,
also say
I don't
this
hold it
was
against it though.
the second episode filmed, I think, or potentially
It was the first one for
in-
Ruby. It was the first one for
First one?
Ruby.
Right, yeah, because so,
Like, okay, it's first one for her because the Giggle was filmed before this, so Shooty already did film something.
yes, and I think this is a great first one for young actors like Millie Gibson,
Well,
who really cut her teeth on the material and prove herself. Like,
Honestly, that's probably why her performance is so enjoyable. She had enough to sink her teeth into with this episode that, you know, she had a very clear understanding of the character from the get-go. That helps a lot when building a character from the ground up. Joey, what did you think of 73 Yards? You've been kind of quiet.
Is good. Is good. Can you hear me? It's good.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good episode. I really enjoy it. I totally have not been missing from most of this conversation, so I don't know what you guys have already covered. But it's good.
I went into the themes.
It's a great time. Probably not the best of the series for me, but yeah, it is a quality episode. I have no clue what you guys already talked about. But yeah, thanks.
We talked about a lot.
I imagine.
All right.
Oh, I forgot to mention the fucking sense of humor as well was excellent when they went into that bar and then everyone was scaring her and then they were all joking. I loved that.
Brilliant way, a brilliant execution of like relieving that tension, but never fully relieving. It's like, oh,
and
geez,
the
this
and the
asshole-
whole joke of like how expensive a Coca-Cola costs in a bar these days.
Oh my fucking god, dude. Yeah. Universal
relatable.
troubles, international troubles.
True.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right, so next up is Dot and Bubble.
Another great episode for me. I really
Me
enjoyed
too.
that.
Quality episode. Yeah.
Fucking banger after banger after banger.
In a different way to 73 Yards as well. This is a very
yeah.
different kind of great episode.
Yeah.
I think this is one I need to rewatch because
Jacob, you fucking dumbass.
yeah, I didn't dislike it. I also like I don't think I was in the right headspace when watching it, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I think I guess on that level, I think but Dot Bubble kind of did what it kind of set out to do, is that I think you spent the way that you first talked to me when you had first watched it was that you were kind of watching it thinking it was one kind of episode and ended up being a completely different kind of episode.
Completely another thing. I was also watching it after quite late. Basically, I watched this one later than the others for the season. So I was just.
Are you telling me you were too sleepy to understand space racism?
I mean, maybe a little, honestly.
I might-
Like,
Dude,
to
I
fully
was
engage in what's
tipsy.
going-
I was fucking tipsy when I watched Dot and Bubble. but I got it.
I mean, so was I.
My dad
I was
didn't though.
also
He didn't realize till the next morning.
Jeez.
And then your dad woke up in the body. He's just like, "Oh, it's because he's black. That's why."
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Right. He's from
actually.
a different generation. We got to be patient with him.
I imagine he just like
Well,
woke up.
we were
fucking
sitting on
erect.
the porch. I had gotten my morning coffee, and he was like, It
no.
just clicked the racism thing in that episode last
Oh
night.
no!
Man."
Oh, that's funny.
I was
I
like,
love that.
I was like, why are they being mean to him? And then he realized. He was like, oh.
But I think that's a sign that your dad doesn't like. He doesn't think of Shooty that way, which is a sign that he is
Well,
not
yeah,
racist in himself.
in one way, that's a good thing. Yeah, definitely.
But just
but
naive.
It does I think kind of fulfill one of those things that I remember just kind of like consistently being disappointed by in the Whittaker era, of that, like, it's like the Doctor, no matter what way you look at it, is physically drastically different than how they've looked before for most of their lives that we've seen on TV. And they just don't take advantage of that. They just don't. Maybe the Witchfinders, that's about it. But then you see something like Dot and
Finders
Bubble,
are certainly
and
the closest.
yeah, and then you see something like Dot and Bubble, and it's like it's not doing the racism message to be like malicious or anything, or because it thinks it's being so fucking deep. It is actually.
It's just telling a
really
story.
It is
where
doing
this.
something.
This would realistically happen at some point to
Mhm.
this
And,
character.
I mean, I can give my summation as to why I think the ending is so great. Is that this is a very unique scenario where the Doctor, previous to this incarnation, at least what they can remember, because we assume there was a memory wipe between Fugitive and Hartnell. But let's just think of it as Hartnell to now is what he thinks of when of his history. He has never looked like this before, and he's never been treated this way before because of the way he looks. And it's this realization of, holy shit, I can't do the things that I want to do because of my identity. And it's a very unique thing of, because like humans don't have that. If you are a person of color and you experience racism, it's going to be throughout your whole life. Whereas with the Doctor, it's suddenly happened now, thousands of years into his life, and he's like, shit. And it's so frustrating for him. And I don't think I've ever seen that specific story beat in anything I've ever watched in my life.
I think so this is, again, I think this might have been why me and Jacob were bringing up the whole crying criticism at this specific episode, because it's one of the times where he cries throughout the series, and I think it really works here because it is such an impactful moment.
This is the best one, I think. The best example of it.
It is. And
this was actually
It's
Shooty's defining Doctor moment for me.
Which is funny because it was the first scene he ever filmed, but it's the way he yells. It's the way he yells "damn" in that moment that I just what is being said in that moment is like he still wants to save them despite the fact that they're fucking racists. Because that's the Doctor, that's his character. He wants to save them. And what's happening in that moment, he says he's thinking to himself like, I could have saved these people at any other point in time. It could have happened at any of my fucking lives. It has to be this one. It has to be right fucking now when I look like this and these people are like this. And it's such a great fucking moment. I know we just fucking jumped the entire episode to talk about that moment, but it's a great fucking moment, and yeah, I love it.
I will say,
I agree.
It's great in other respects too.
That I think that make it even more powerful is that he was so close to saving them too. Like he had gotten them out of the danger, and they're just jumping right back into the danger because they're a bunch of racists. I'll also say I love the almost suburban production design.
Yeah,
like it's very very pastel, very very white.
Pastel is a beautiful word to use for Dot and Bubble. It's so pastel.
Yeah.
I bravo to the design team for the slugs themselves. They looked fantastic.
Yep.
And we know they were largely physically there, which just I adore when you get to have fun creature designs in anything.
Well, and those slugs were
and-
just properly scary too. I could
Mm.
easily see myself. There was the moment where they're revealed where I sort of was able to see myself as a kid, like shitting my pants over the slugs.
I've got some funny stories about Dom Bubble because this was when I watched it, my girlfriend was sat next to me, and this was the first ever episode of Doctor Who she'd ever watched. Somehow she'd
Oh,
avoided it her
geez.
whole life.
Wow.
And she watched it, and there was two like funny things from it. Firstly, the shock on her face when Ricky September got betrayed. She was
Oh,
very
yeah.
like she was like, I cannot believe that happened. The other thing is when those slugs were like using their little tentacles to like suck people in. She's like, "Oh, that's you when you hug me."
Jeez. Love that. What an experience to have.
Yeah, what a first
I also
episode,
want
right?
to. I'd like to also call out Callie Cook, who played Lindy Pepperbean. A
Mhm.
fantastic performance.
Oh yeah, the portrayal of the narcissistic fangirl that
Mm.
is
The
so
narcissistic
dependent
fangirl.
on.
Like you said, when Ricky September was betrayed, there are very specific choices that Cook is making there that are like they sent chills down my spine. I'm like, oh, you.
Yep.
Uh,
She's codependent. She's insular. She's complete. Like she's like a baby that needs her mother's breast. Like in terms of the way she's characterized, and obviously the
You
race
just,
is
really,
part
you
of
just
it.
really wanted to say that metaphor, didn't you?
But it's true though. That is
Yeah.
what like there's so many times she's just like, and when am I going to see my mum? Like it was very childish, and also obviously like she's infatuated with Ricky September, but she doesn't actually care about him as a person. She just wants to, like a parasite, get what she can out of him. But by the time it's about like saving him, she's like, no, I only care about myself.
Also, the scene where he dies, dude, that's some fucking. That was a graphic scene for modern Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The fucking
it's
squelch,
great.
and you can kind of see it start to go through his
Yeah.
head and then enter out the
It's
back
great.
and out of focus. Dude,
You know,
I-
what's really crazy is I was vibing with this episode even before the racism reveal, because I just thought Russell was doing a whole kind of like a 1984 thing with the society that just sort of like it is completely codependent, relying on their technology, and humans are basically useless because they just
the
they literally
end point of social media as well.
yeah, they literally can't like survive on their own. I love that moment where she's like, I can't walk. Like she
Literally
literally doesn't know
can't
how
walk.
to. Well, yeah, she can walk, but she literally doesn't know how to like where to go without Dot and Bubble around her. And I really love that. I thought that was really cool. And then of course,
I think
the episode was made a million times better by the ending, of course. But I was already really vibing with it. I thought it was great.
Davies rode that fine line of like not being too boomer social media is dumb, which would have been very easy to fall into. And I think it's definitely helped by sort of what the episode's actually trying to say about society. Also, Holmes Williams.
Well, it's
Dylan
more so,
Holmes Williams.
it's not really saying it's not really saying social media is dumb. It's more like it has become so easy to rely on that you lose yourself when you don't, have time away from it. You need boundaries of social media, otherwise you're going to become just like this parasite of a person.
Yeah, and there's also the obvious. It perpetuates systems of bigotry that is clearly
That's
being
right.
played with. But I also want to mention the director, Dylan Holmes Williams, who directed this and 73 Yards. Really hope he comes back. Really liked his work on these two episodes.
Oh yeah. The immersion from the direction in those two episodes was top notch. Like I was fully in. I was fully in.
Here, the bubbles themselves look really good. Like, it's a.
Mhm.
I don't want to say it's like.
I remember. Well, wasn't that okay? So I remember hearing that this episode was pitched to Moffat during Moffat's era.
Yeah,
by
I
Russell,
also
and
I also
they said,
read this.
and they said they couldn't. And they said they couldn't do it because at the time because it would have been such an expensive episode.
Yeah,
because
he's
of
had
all
this
that.
idea since 2010, I think Russell had.
Mm.
Yeah, probably not. At least the premise of for society
Yeah.
with the social
So
media bubble.
in a way, I really love that it took this long to make it, because being able to tell this story
Well,
and
I
shoot
feel
Igawa,
like it's a lot more
100%.
relevant today than it was maybe 10 years ago as well.
True.
Yeah, it was kind of
True. Yeah.
like
I think
at the time, like in 2010, he was forward thinking with it. It was more of like a sci-fi idea of like, oh, this is where we would end up because this is what social media is becoming. But now we are seeing even more extremes with it. That it's like, wow, this really is on the button.
I also think just I wouldn't have wanted to see this in maybe 2010, 2011. Like,
Oh god, could you
I
imagine Matt Smith acting in one of those fucking screens? Oh god, I would have killed myself. Would
Him
have
doing the
actually
quirky, like,
ended
oh,
up-
is this a video monitor?
Oh god, don't.
Smith probably could have done it.
Hello,
You know how much
Lindy
badly it-
Pepperbean!
How poorly it would have aged if he's like, oh, it poorly it would age if he's like, oh, is this a Facebook poke?
Oh god. Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much.
Uh,
Fuck.
What's wrong with the bow tie? The bow tie's cool.
Oh, I hate you all right now. You're making a hypothetical Matt Smith episode, and I'm hating it.
I
even
can
more
see
than
it
actually
though.
would
Can't you?
exist.
You can so easily see
Yeah,
it.
you can't. Yeah, you can't see it, and I hate that I can picture it so easily. Fuck. Oh.
The sad thing is that when you get Matt Smith without Stephen Moffat and you put him with a really good writer, he's actually amazing.
Mm. Sometimes.
Well, it
Like
depends.
the-
As I said, amazing writer. I didn't say any writer,
Yeah.
not including like Morbius, for example.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
So Dot and Bubble, excellent. Let's move on to
Yes.
Rogue, which is our second and
Okay.
last not written by Russell T Davies episode this season. This was written by
Let me
Kate
s- let me
Herron
tell you-
and Bryony Redman.
Bryony.
Bryony
Let me tell you
Redman.
how much I hate Let me tell you how much I hate Doctor Who fans, man. I saw someone actually saying that an actual problem with Rogue was that they used a Kylie Minogue song, and Kylie Minogue can't exist because she played Astrid in Voyage of the Damned.
Do they know anything about Bridgerton? They literally use like modern songs with
Oh
classical
my god.
music. Like that's one of the things about the episode I really like actually is that they did that.
No.
It's fun.
It wasn't that. No. They were saying it was a problem because Kylie Minogue previously played Astrid in Voyage of the Damned, so Kylie Minogue can't exist in
But
the Doctor Who
she's
universe.
referenced in
apparently.
The Idiot's Lantern. They said
I know.
Kylie
This
in
was
The
an,
Idiot's
this was an
Lantern.
actual problem this person had with the episode, and I wanted to fucking shoot myself.
Well, if you
Anyway,
hit Canada, he didn't say her last name. It could be any Kylie.
I fucking hated that. Anyway, Rogue is a great episode. I really liked Rogue.
Rogue is melodramatic and a whirlwind romance and a breath of fresh air because it's not written by a showrunner or someone who has written a lot of Doctor Who.
What you mean by that is it's not written by the usual suspects.
Yes, I do. I really would love Heron and Redmond to come back. I'm excited to see them novelize this episode, which they're doing, because there's a lot here. The choice of music to like Bridgertonize of doing those classical arrangements, all amazing choices. I lost my shit when they did Astor Piazzolla's Libertango, which is a tango I adore. It's the piece underneath the scene with Gatwa and Jonathan Groff on the dance floor. It's this, again, really good choice. They used they used Bad Romance at one point. They used Billie Eilish's Bad Guy, I heard. And then obviously they just played the already associated with Doctor Who song "Can't Get You Out of My Head."
Yes.
Straight. And I could only think of the McGann version of Shada because of that. I was like,
Wait, what? I've never heard McGann Shada. Wait, what are you referring to?
it's not in it, but like as part of the animation in 2003, the team basically did an AMV of
Huh.
Kylie Minogue's "Can't Get You Out of My Head."
Huh.
Using
I
the character
did
models
not
from
Yeah,
know
you
this.
can find it on.
It is a
You can find it online. It's goofy.
It's
Gotcha.
goofy and dumb, but I love it. I also really bought the
Right,
like as someone who
right,
doesn't
right.
love.
Keep in mind, this is right after a D&D joke and right before they canonized the fucking Schalke Doctor.
Oh right, they did that. That's the thing.
Which is fucking stupid,
Um,
first off, but sure, you do you, I guess.
What I will say, as someone who doesn't love the Doctor being in romantic relationships, I also just, I don't know, there was something about Gatwa and Jonathan Groff as Rogue that worked.
I think it really it's another thing where you've got strong actors in these roles. It's less the writing,
they
and
can
more
actually
the
sell.
actors have really good chemistry, so
Yeah.
they can
It-
sell.
The point is, though, that
it's
this
not-
complete
it's not a,
whirlwind.
it's not a Matt Smith, Alex Kingston subdom relationship. It's
That
It's
too
really
does
actually
feel,
Hitler is
just
it does feel like
Hitler's so bad.
it does feel like these two characters are on an equal playing field as well, which is not what we've seen the past few times we've seen a Doctor romance.
Remember that bit at the start of the Impossible Astronaut where like he's being approached by some woman and it's like he doesn't know what sex is and he's really like
Yeah.
scared.
That's just kind of how Moffat always wrote the Doctor for some reason.
What is
penis
penis and vagina, Clara?
And then fucking Neil Gaiman came in like exactly 4 episodes later and actually wrote another good Doctor romance. There's that.
No, but
I called a child sexy.
Okay, well, sorry.
You're right. So, Rogue good.
Rogue good. Rogue
There are
very
also
good.
other things to talk about, like the aliens in Rogue, who are all bird cosplayers, which I loved.
I thought that was kind of
like.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, okay.
Brian!
I'm probably in the minority in this. I actually don't think Rogue is that good.
Oh,
do
talk
tell.
about
Interesting.
unleash your opinion, Connor.
It's mixed, so there's good things in it, but I also think there's bad things in it as well.
I do think it is significantly weaker than Dot and Bubble and 73 Yards.
I feel like there are some really ballsy ideas for the characters in Rogue that aren't earned, and they feel really forced. The main one, well, the two that I can think of because it's been a few weeks, but the two I can think of off the top of my head is number one is I enjoy the flirtation between the Doctor and Rogue. I think that's really well done. But there is this suggestion of like a much deeper connection. And I don't really buy that the Doctor would, in this short of a time, feel that strongly for a person, especially given that Rogue as a person has a lot of red flags and he just seems to overlook them out of attraction. And I don't really buy that level of love, if you get what I mean. The other thing is they really go down the path of like him, like because of the whole Ruby being captured thing, he's very, I don't know if keen's the right word, but he seems pretty ready on the idea of them having a 600-year suffering, which again, something they can do with the Doctor because it's been done before well, but I just don't buy it. I feel like it's forced in without earning it. And those are two major things. The other thing Brian mentioned about the shape-shifting is a cool idea, but I just think they didn't do enough with it. I think it's a bit underdeveloped, that side of it. But there's other good stuff I liked. I love the way it looks. I love the costumes. I like some of the dialogue. It's really fun. And the flirtation between Ncuti and Rogue is really entertaining. Oh, and obviously the Schalke thing is weird too. I don't know why they did that. That was fucking
So
strange.
fucking
Did they show did they show Eccleston in that?
They did.
Yeah, they
yes.
They did,
Okay.
Yeah.
They showed basically everyone who has done the Doctor at some point.
See, the thing is that Russell is very quiet on Chris Eccleston, so I just don't know where he stands on it.
I did see some people saying like, oh, did they cut Chris Eccleston? But no, he's in there.
They cut Patrick Troughton though, didn't they?
No, he's
not
in
in
there.
it. I think I
He,
remember.
he's
Is he?
like, you can get a glimpse of his ear and his nose.
It's,
Oh, okay.
it's
enough.
the trouble is that we are at so many Doctors now
I mean,
It's
I don't
hard
really
to
like
set
the
up
thing
those
is, I
seasons.
just with Doctor Incarnation continuity, I'm at the point where I just don't give two shits anymore. Like, I
And
just do
Yeah.
whatever
and
the fuck
David Tennant was there twice.
Yeah.
he was. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the thing
but
with that is that
I'm
like
in the same boat as you, Connor. I really do not give a fuck.
it's all a massive mess. Just don't make it the focal point of the story like the Timeless Children does.
Yeah, yeah.
Or at
It's
least do
just
something
interesting
do
to me
something-
because
do something interesting with it.
they felt it was so important to get Schalke in there that they sat Richard E. Grant down to do a photo shoot. To
Did
get,
they actually?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they
I
did.
didn't know that. Damn.
So I wonder
But,
if
you know,
maybe he's
like-
gonna actually do something with Grant as the Doctor.
But the thing with me with Rogue is I had the feeling with Rogue, and I also had an even stronger thing with a later episode, which we'll get to. Is just there's these dramatic moments from like, no, I don't believe that. Especially at the very end when he like puts the ring on. I'm like, you barely know this guy. You just met him. I don't believe
See,
that you think that he's that special to you.
See, I personally didn't read the relationship as maybe as deep as you are. I saw this sort of immediate attraction as the Doctor finding somebody similar to himself and being more attracted by that idea than so much Rogue
Mhm.
as a person, because we saw, there was conflict between them, and yeah, you brought up the whole, red flags that in Rogue that the Doctor may not like in a person, but I think he saw, person similar to himself in concept, in attitude, in something that he could see himself being with very briefly, but lovingly. I think that's sort of the relationship that I read from that, at least.
I'd also add, I think some of the song choices do some of the storytelling for the story as well.
Do
In
tell.
Mexico, there's a reason. There's a reason why Eilish's bad guy is used early in the episode. There's a reason why they use, bad guy being largely about uncertainty and then the weirdness. Libertango being essentially an anthem to liberty and freedom. And then of course the Ruby escape being done to essentially bad romances from there. I think that's sort of where storytelling is happening, partially because it might also be just depending on a viewer's familiarity with the genre that we are setting this episode in. Like how 73 Yards was a horror genre, this is a melodrama with specifically drawing from a Regency romance, largely Jane Austen. There's a lot of Austen in here, as is with a lot of romance, as well as maybe some Bronte. I'm not as familiar with the works of the Bronte sisters as perhaps I should be, and that's sort of what elevated Rogue for me personally, and sort of what sold it and made it work. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I'd
I
be
get that,
curious
yeah.
to see. I'd be curious to see a version of Rogue that was 2 parts and see what that's like. I don't know if it would make it different, but I'd be curious to see what it would look like.
I would say even maybe extending it by 10, 15 minutes might.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Again, one of the things
I think it needs more than
pretty
that,
much
though.
this entire season is 45 minutes just isn't enough, guys. Give us more. Give us more. Give us more.
Depends. It
And I
depends
hope
on
we-
how you compound your writing. It depends on how you compound it, but in this sense, a lot of the episodes suffer from it because they don't compound it in the right way. And the style that they're going for now would be way better with 60, for sure.
Yeah. I also, honestly, I kind of hope we're not getting it for season 2, but when we get the season 3 renewal, which I do believe is coming, I hope we can maybe bump the episode count up to 10.
I love the people
would
that
be
are
nice.
saying that. I love people that are saying that Disney is not going to fund season 3 now because apparently the finale was that bad. Like,
That's not
people are
how
like-
it works. That's
yeah,
not how it
yeah,
works.
yeah. People are actually
Also,
saying that
Disney
they're
Disney has
fucking
funded a
insane.
lot of money into a lot of bad things. So
Yeah, exactly.
I think Disney might. Disney's also in terms of renewing shows. It seems to take them a little longer, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
Like, in
I just think we don't have anything to worry about with that. I think we're fine.
yeah,
I think
and I
the
think
show
even if
will
Disney
go
doesn't,
on.
we're going to be going.
Again, it's right down to the fucking viewing figures debate. The less we fucking know, the better. In my opinion.
Look, we're fans. We don't need to worry about that. It's not our business. Just enjoy the show.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on to our 2-part finale.
It's
Here's
very
the thing.
strange. It's a weird story.
Yeah.
Connor, I'm interested on
a
your
lot.
take on it.
It's strange. It's got disconnected drama. There's things I like about it in isolation. Like if you showed me 3 minutes of the episode without knowing anything about it, I might be like, oh yeah, that looks like something that would be in a Russell finale. But then you watch it as a whole and it's so just weird. It's such weird story.
I'm really conflicted about it myself because there are things that I
think the I think part 1 is a mixed bag, but overall it's okay. But the second part is pretty
Empire
bad.
of Death is. See, there are things I like about Empire of Death, and then there are things that like just ruin it.
This thing, okay, the thing. Wait, I'll tell you what I think. I think I want to love Empire of Death because there's moments that could be great in a great story, but they're just not because it's not a great story. It's so jumbled, it's so disconnected, and Jesus Christ, fucking Sutek being beaten by a random laser and a dog collar is just dumb. I can't excuse it. It's so bad.
I mean, it's very Russell though. It's very
it is.
Russell.
It is
Well,
very much a Russell T
I don't
Davies
agree because I
finale.
don't think this actually works in the same way that his other finales do. I don't think this has
Ah,
I
Connor, here's
I-
the disconnect. You think the other Russell T Davies finales work? We don't.
not Journey's End. Not Journey's
Okay,
End.
I think if we're just talking last episodes, I think Empire of Death lies like squarely in the middle of Davies finales. For me, it's like
I disagree.
bottom to top. It's bottom to top, like Last of the Time Lords, Journey's End, Empire of Death, Doomsday, and Parting of the Ways. That is like it is. It lies. It does the same fucking cop outs that Last of the Time Lords and Journey's End do. But is still below like just the generally sound storytelling of Doomsday and Parting of the Ways.
One thing I do want to bring up, though, to be very that I think is the most positive is after Sutek's defeated, I actually want to go to bat for the stuff with Ruby and her mother.
Go ahead.
Davies does some actually really good stuff there. He doesn't fall into the trap that I had been dreading all season that Ruby's mother was going to be special or important.
But he does. That's
Davies...
the issue with the story.
Well, no, Brian, may I? Because I'm going to be going on a bit of a tangent. Sorry, I don't feel like a dick, but that Ruby's mother is an ordinary woman doesn't entirely make sense with a lot of the stuff that goes before with the whole
Jacob, why does she point to that sign?
Oh god.
I
think if I may come to Jacob's defense here, I think Jacob is just referring to the reveal of who Ruby's mother is.
She is
sure. I just wanted to say that
normal, and that Davies is trying to impart a very existentialist idea of throughout this that this isn't a universe of people being special. This is a universe of people being ordinary, and that makes something special, which is an idea that I adore. I think it needs to be a little more implemented, a little bit better, because again, the problem is with the time window stuff is that you have this memory changing, and it kind of undercuts that. But I really like the idea. I think it's performed really well. I also think Ruby's exit.
It's a great idea.
Ruby's exit scene is fucking top tier. I love it.
It's fantastic. It is.
I think that
First companion
scene.
exit in a very long time. First proper full exit. Possibly.
Since Bill, I'd say.
Yeah.
See,
There's
I
things I
don't.
dislike about Bill's
Since
exit.
Bill and Dr. Falls. Bill and Twice Upon a Time is a little different.
Yeah, Bill and Dr. Falls, yeah. But I think we have been just one of my favorite things about Ruby's exit is that like it is just it's not that she wants to leave, it's just she has no reason at all to stay. She genuinely
It's
just
great.
has a life outside of the Doctor now and just wants to
And-
pursue it.
Yeah.
It's really great.
And like Martha in Last of the Time Lords, the door is still open for her to come back, and we know she's coming back.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
would
def-
be.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
be more.
I think I love the fact that the Doctor says, "Look, there's a reason why I don't want to get involved in the family stuff, but you need to do this for yourself." I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Ruby's mom because I also like that theme of, Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite fucking stories ever. Ordinary people, something about being the little guy can make you can change the world as a little guy, but it's all in the execution, and I don't think it's executed well here.
Mm.
To
Look, there's a lot I don't like about
She's-
Empire of Death. I don't think this reveal is one of them.
Ruby's mom
Um,
is kind of too much of a linchpin for the plot for it to just be I don't know, she became this complex space-time event that not even a god could comprehend because you couldn't find her too
I mean-
hard.
It's explicitly stated in the text that it is the memory of her. Because Davies is also playing with memory and not integrating that particularly well, like he should.
But like the whole thing about the thing that's preventing Sutek from achieving total victory is he doesn't know who Ruby's mom is for some reason, and so can't cross the name off of his like death list. And that already also doesn't work with the rules we've established about how people are dying. We also have this weird moment where like we fucking in Space Babies, the Doctor does a DNA scan on Earth and can't find a match. He's got a time machine. He's got access to the whole history of Earth. So why all of a sudden do we have a match right at the end when it's convenient for the plot? I don't know. It's
Well,
just
didn't that-
it's a bunch of loose plot threads that just don't add up. There's holes in it, and it annoys me.
Is he scanning? I thought it's been a while since I watched Space Babies. I only watched it once. Didn't he only scan Ruby at the end to see if she was human?
I thought he couldn't find a DNA match. Maybe I'm misremembering then.
I think you might be misremembering, Brian. At least a little
Anyway,
bit.
I want to talk about something else I liked in this finale, if I may. Which I think is probably like my favorite scene from the whole two-part finale. Is just the Sutek reveal scene. I think it's fucking perfect. It works. But no, I think it's a perfect reveal scene. I think first off, if I may address some criticism of the finale, one thing I think is a criticism that I don't agree with, and there are many that I do agree with, but one that I do not agree with is that Sutek being here in the finale nullifies the jumping on point idea of this new era. Because no, I think the reveal is perfectly done within the confines of the pantheon of gods that Davies has set up throughout the series. I think I think we've been shown many times on social media throughout the past week and a half since that episode aired. That no, it's not throwing off new viewers, and for some reason, the only people obsessed with jumping on points are longtime fans. It just makes no fucking sense. But the reveal is great. Gabriel Wolf coming back into the fray the way he does, fucking brilliant. It's just it's a perfect scene. I really really love that scene.
One of the things I love about the story in general, sort of getting away from my issues with Ruby's mom, is actually Sutek. I think he's characterized pretty well. I do think he goes down kind of like a bitch, but I think I can give it a pass, sort of.
I think the climax needs a little reworking to work better.
I think it's actually a fundamental problem with the story as a whole, because my problem with it is that it's a god. In true Davies fashion, the stakes are literally too high that the only way to solve the problem is by undoing everything.
But that's already sort of a problem with that people have run into for writing Pyramids of Mars sequels in the expanded universe too. Sutek is arguably one of the most overpowered characters in all of Doctor Who, so the only way to write a story with him is to A, have the goal of the story being to prevent him from resurrecting or being at full power, or B, if you start the story with him at full power, he's gonna fucking snap his fingers and kill the entire universe in one fell swoop, and the only way to fix it is some kind of Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah,
the only time
I think
it's really
I
fully
think
worked, honestly, is the way that Una McCormick does it in Tears of Isis.
And even then, that's like the weakest story in that set.
Yeah. I think
mean,
like
make a story in that very strong set. Let's be honest.
For me, it's just indicative of Davies once again just not learning anything from his past finales, and that like just if you keep raising the stakes, you can't reasonably solve this plot in a satisfying way.
Also, I mean, it probably doesn't need to be said. Gabriel fucking Wolf still has it. Like,
yeah. Oh, he's so fucking good. What is he? What is he? Fucking 91 years old, still crushing it the way he does.
93. He is.
Oh my fucking god! What a guy! What a fucking guy!
I'll say I actually quite like the origin of the memory TARDIS.
Yeah, I like that. I do kind of lament the fact that we kind of gave away the whole memory TARDIS idea before it was revealed in this episode.
Yeah, but I also it's the terrible problem of it would be better for the narrative if it would have revealed. But I also would not want to trade those things filmed for Tales in the TARDIS.
Oh yeah, I don't have a problem with him filming it. It's just you could have waited maybe to release it. I don't know. That's one of the only things. Most people, I shouldn't say most people. I just think fans that are watching it kind of already know the whole deal with the memory TARDIS by the time it's actually unveiled. So just a weird thing with releases.
I don't really have any issues with Empire of Death as a Sutek story, because it does kind of, when you write for Sutek, and I like Sutek, so I'm willing to give the Deus Ex Machina thing a pass when you're writing for Sutek. Typically, I don't like the use of it, but I'll make an exception for Sutek. You know what I'm saying? So my only real issue with the story is how the Ruby's mom thing is integrated into the plot, and it's so integral to how Sutek is defeated.
See, I'm kind of the exact opposite. I think it's as much as I love Sutek and I love Gabriel Wolf, and I must admit, Brian, you were the first person I thought of the second Sutek was revealed in Legend of Ruby Sunday. But no, it's I just don't think. It's the problem I brought up already. Just Russell didn't quite know how to handle the character once he had him in a position of power. And I'm not saying keep every single supporting character that's important to this era dead, because you're obviously not going to do that. But maybe just don't set the stakes that high in the first place.
I think if you're going to set the stakes that high, and there's some aspects of setting the stakes that high in Empire that I think work really well. Sequence on what's the planet called?
I don't know.
Agua Santina.
Yeah.
Is
I did think that,
an
I thought that
isolate-
was a great scene between him and that one woman.
Yeah.
It was shitty in that one.
Wonderful, a wonderful scene, a wonderful way of doing it. I love the use of quiet through Empire of Death as well. Davies has a problem with
Mhm.
being bombastic, especially when he raises stakes. But there are some really good
Mhm.
quiet moments.
It does
even if
make
they
for
don't
quite
add
the
up.
different. It does make for quite the different feeling of a Davies finale, in that it's pretty somber for the most part. So that's pretty
But
nice.
I think we
do
needed
like
at least
that.
one character death. Like one character
Yeah,
death.
you know what was weird to me? Even the fucking guy that died before the dusting of the entire universe, that one unit soldier that died in the time window room. Even he came back. Like that felt weird
Yeah.
to me. Like like he wasn't part of the
I
mass
also-
destruction of everything.
I also think part of the problem here is our unit supporting cast is too much. I liked Lenny Rush's performance,
Yeah, I think
but
that's
I
sort of the
think
problem.
Lenny Rush's character kind of took the place of Yasmin Finney as Rose.
Yeah, I think just it's too many characters played by some really great actors, some really fun, charismatic actors that I really enjoy watching individually. But I can't really get in with the group as a whole, because yeah, it is too many characters, not enough time to have them actually make an
There's
impact.
too
at
many
this point.
men, too many people with too many problems.
I do want to say we haven't mentioned Bonnie Langford.
Oh, she's lovely. She's so
I think we
good in
need to, because I
these.
think Langford's actually given really solid material. Like
Totally.
especially
Yeah, I
especially
mean
in the first half.
all the acting. That's what I will say. All the acting was superb. That's not the issue at all.
Well, I will say Mel as a character gets really well characterized.
Yeah.
uh,
I
Plus
do also
the
like
other-
I do also like the whole just actually making use of Bonnie Langford's talent, and when I love watching her when she was actually turned into a servant of Sutek. I thought that was really fun.
the woman has range and she's great as
So good.
getting to play
So
Yeah,
a
good.
fucking what was JNT thinking? Genuinely,
Like-
like she's
Like,
so good.
This is a woman that I swear I've said in the past could actually play the Doctor. Like she's so good. I love Bonnie Langford. She's amazing.
Now I want to see that, like, somehow, now that you've mentioned it. Like, can we
I know
for
I've
this,
mentioned
can
it before. she's
yeah,
so
but
good.
like yeah, uh other things about Legend that I wanted to bring up. Once again, Anita Dobson's presence is great.
Oh my god,
I'm-
she's so funny. Oh my god.
think
Her fucking delivery of that, her delivery of that line, the whole
don't
we all want a
always
lot of
get
things
what
that
we
we're not.
want.
Yeah, fucking. I hate that the first thing that went through my mind when I saw that was fucking. I don't know if any of you have seen it. Ben Stiller's character in Happy Gilmore. There's this scene.
I have seen
when,
that. It was
there's
many
this
years
scene-
ago.
There's this scene when Adam Sandler's grandmother asks him for a glass of milk, and and he's like, you could trouble me for a warm glass. Shut the hell up, because she's like in a nursing home, and he runs the nursing home. It's so fucking funny.
That's the most like autistic joke ever.
It's fucking stupid, but it was like the first thing I thought of. It was so funny. Yeah, I don't know, but Anita Dobson's great. Is the point? Yeah, she's awesome. I hope there's much more of her, and I hope she actually gets utilized well in the future.
Well, I mean, didn't you
I'm
say you
waiting
get
for
a
the
grad?
moment where she actually gets to share a scene with any of our regulars, like, properly.
Didn't Russell
Yeah.
say he's got a grand plan for like multiple shows? Like that could be a possibility.
That's possible. Yeah.
I've got to say, I still haven't really sorted out my feelings on Empire of Death. I think I'm probably arriving at the conclusion that it's bad.
It's not
I'm
completely
pretty
awful.
confident.
There are things.
There
to
are
like.
No,
things about
no,
it
it's
I
not.
enjoy. That's the thing, and I'm trying to figure out if the things I enjoy about it and the things I
find
don't
it more
enjoy- which
I find
which
it-
outweighs the other. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure.
I
yet.
find it more frustrating overall. I think
it's
frustrating
it's
is the word I'd
definitely
use
it's
because I think there's-
definitely that. It's definitely frustrating.
I will
because
say,
it has all the
I-
it's like to give a sort of a cooking analogy, it's got great ingredients but they don't come together right.
Mm.
I think that's a fairly good analogy. I will say, I would be more willing to rewatch this finale than
Oh, I did remember something though. Um, I don't know if you mentioned it because I was away for a few minutes, but there's that scene where the Doctor is looking at all those planets going and he blames himself and Shuri just screams. I love that performance.
I
Oh, yeah.
also really
Yeah.
liked that. That was great.
You know what? Actually, I know we already kind of praised the scene, but in Ruby's exit scene when Ruby leaves, another up there with Dot and Bubble as like one of the best like Doctor crying moments throughout the series. Like when he just genuinely breaks because he has to let her go. I just think
There's
that's
something
brilliant.
about Shuri Gat, well, like the way he acts it just looks like art. The way he acts on
Mm.
screen, it's like this.
What-
He's a
Are you,
moving
talking, are you
painting or
talking about
something.
like specifically when he cries, or
In a lot of scenes, but it's more so the serious
think-
moments. I think.
I think there's something so cool about. I'm gonna get back on the Doctor crying topic here, which might sound annoying to some, but I think it's. I think there's something about the way Shuri does it because I guess I'm sort of bouncing off what you're saying here, Connor. In that like he never plays it as if he's like completely breaking down when he cries. It's that he's crying as a natural reaction, but he's still acting like the Doctor as he does it. There's a
It's more
scene.
like it's more like a
It's
release of tension as opposed to a breakdown.
Well, there's that bit in Empire of Death where he's crying as he's still delivering that like monologue to Sutek, and that's just one of those moments where I think like he's not. It's breaking him inside, but he's not letting it break him externally. But that emotion still shows in the fact that he is crying.
Oh, man, he weeps tears when he stands on the bomb because he realizes it could all be over and boom.
Yeah.
But at the same
Yeah.
time, he can't move his body, otherwise it'll explode.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great. I think
I'm very conflicted on because I think what you mentioned near the start of the video about like people saying he cries too much. I don't think it's that simple, but I am conflicted because he's very good at doing it, and some of those scenes where he does do it, the writing makes it really great because it earns that moment. But I do wonder if, for dramatic impact, if they just did it a little bit less often, maybe that would be better.
I suppose,
sure.
but I am down for the way that Russell has set up the character as just being generally more emotionally vulnerable.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for sure.
That I think I'm just more okay with it in general. And again, also for those that watched, my many discussions on Who in the past, I'm definitely coming at it from a much more casual angle these days. So maybe if it's something I would have felt more strongly or thought of more been a lot more critical of in the past, I just don't view it that way anymore. And so maybe that's just something.
It's
something wrong with
probably
me.
a more mature way of
something-
viewing Doctor Who, honestly.
I would like to think so.
I'm very much on my way to that point. I'm not quite there yet.
Well, I'm very against. There's some people out there that say that the Doctor should never cry. I'm very against that. I think that's toxic masculinity.
Fuck that. Yeah,
Talk
fuck
like
that. Big time.
Yeah.
All right. So, did Russell stick the landing? No.
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 But how do we feel
No,
about the series
definitely
as a whole package, as a whole unit?
I'm down for
It's
it.
all right.
I dig
I
it.
think it's
good.
okay.
It's definitely the best
I
thing
think-
we've had in a while from the show. I feel.
Yeah, well, it's certainly better than Chris Chibnall. I'll say that with confidence. I much prefer this over Chibnall.
I mean, there are Chibnall episodes I like. There are some Chibnall episodes I like more than certain episodes in RTD2 so far. But no, I mean, it's just it's neither here nor there for me. I think in general, Russell has a better handle on what I like to see in Doctor Who these days, personally. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's
I
just
think there are- I
generally,
think there's some
generally
kinks.
enjoyable for me.
I think there's some kinks that need to be worked out, mainly with utilizing the fact that we are now streaming first
Mhm.
and allowing
Yeah.
episodes to breathe because of that. But again, that's may not necessarily be a Russell decision. That may be an on high BBC or Disney decision, or something that's slightly out of his control. Because once again,
I think he can do better though. I think he can do better than this. I think he has done better than this and can do better.
I think what's going to help going forward is that he's not writing 3/4 of the season.
Yeah, that'll be nice. That'll be nice.
We
Yeah.
know.
I mean, he did
We know.
when he brought back the show in 05, he wrote a lot of series 1 as well, and then he stopped doing that as much after that.
Yes.
Well,
And we do know.
I do know also like he wrote a lot of this season because he wanted to get a head start on like getting actually ahead of production on like scripts and shooting and all that.
I wonder if
Yes.
that's
And,
why some
like-
of these
and the-
story beats might feel a bit rushed in places. Is because
possibly.
of that.
The other thing is, I do like the fact that they are filming 2 seasons in one go now, which means that I suspect, and I hope this is the case, that maybe if he re-signs for it, there's a chance Shooty could do 4 instead of 3.
That
hope
would
so.
be nice.
I
That'd
hope
be
so,
so
too.
nice.
I
Please break the
want
3
that.
series rule, please.
That
By doing more
the
than
sad
one series.
part,
Yeah,
the
not
sad
less than
part
3.
though is it.
Yeah.
The sad part though is if he
Monkey's
gets big
comfortable with
offers,
Mm.
if he gets big offers though, he could unfortunately he might end up only doing 2, which would be sad.
It would be
Yeah.
sad. However, if I may, I believe we've already. I think season 2 might already be filmed or is close to finishing.
I think it's close. I think it's close to done. I can't be sure.
It might be done in like July, August. I think.
The fact that season 2 has an episode which apparently he needed to do a flowchart for is quite enticing.
Mm.
I'll also say, we already know there are 4 writers that aren't Davies for season 2 at least.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
Do we know who they are?
Hopefully that
or-
means 4 of the 8 episodes aren't Davies.
Do we know
not
who they
because I
are or
don't-
no?
We don't.
Okay.
Well, before
We
we
do know
get
at least
too
one of them
deep
is Luke.
into what we're looking forward to next, I do want to get a quick best and worst episode of the series from each of us.
I mean, I think. Do we all agree it's Space Babies is the worst?
Yes.
No.
Fuck
Oh.
you, Connor.
What's your worst, Connor?
He's gonna say Empire of Death.
Actually, I do have a question for you, Ryan. Are we counting the finale as one story or individual episodes?
Let's count it
I would
as
say
a
one
story.
personally.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know then, because if I'm including part 1 as part of it, then I'm not sure. Not sure.
I think
But it's-
even if I were just counting Empire of Death, I think I would still pretty confidently say Space Babies is the worst.
I don't dislike Space Babies as much as you do. I think there's
It's pretty
redeeming
bad.
elements. The bad stuff is really bad, but I do
This
think
is
there is
the
good
thing.
stuff in Space
I
Babies
feel
as
like
well.
Space Babies is goofy and not necessarily what I like from Doctor Who, but it at least functions as a story more than Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death. So it really just comes down to what I prefer at this point.
Also, as I said before, I also am not a fan of Rogue either. So it's one of those 3.
For me, it's whichever frustrates me more is probably the worst, and in that case, it's probably Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death for me.
If I'm allowed to choose, if I'm allowed to choose just individual episodes, it's Empire of Death for me, because I was so annoyed at the way it was. These really good ideas are so sloppily done. Like it just really pissed me off.
Breaking news: Connor realizes what Russell T Davies finales are. All right, I'm gonna. I'm gonna say my favorite of the series was Boom, which I think I'm very unique in that. I'm unique in this panel in that opinion. But I will say very
You
close
think it's
runner-up.
so clever?
I do think it's so. I think it's so clever. But no, I think my very close runner-up is Dot and Bubble.
My favorite is
My
Dot and
favorite,
Bubble.
73 yards.
Did I hear? Oh, you both were talking at the same time. I think it was.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's all good. I think what Connor said 73 yards and Brian said Dot and Bubble.
Yeah.
That's right.
Jacob, what about you?
I'm 73 yards.
Cool.
Okay.
That's an episode that is almost entirely tailored to a lot of my personal tastes, which is what gives it the edge. I will say the run from Devil's Cord to Rogue is also just a fantastic run. Like
That's true.
best
don't-
run of
I just don't like
episodes
Rogue.
we have had in a long while.
It is nice to have a run of episodes that's good instead of just like one isolated episode that just accidentally happened to be pretty good for once.
This
Yeah.
is so bizarre to be in a call with you lot about something by Russell T Davies where I'm not the most positive person. It's
I
bizarre.
mean, yeah, that is,
What's
I-
happened?
that is
That's-
bizarre.
It is
We're
bizarre.
not
we are.
edgy
Um,
contrarians anymore. Maybe
We all grew. I mean, some of it is probably we all grew up a little bit.
It
I'm not
has
sure.
been.
Honestly,
It has been
That-
years.
that's not okay. That is not to say you didn't, Connor, but I think it's just I think yeah, I think Jacob, were you referring to like the panel as a whole? I'm
the
assuming.
panel as a whole.
Yeah, maybe for you, Connor, it's you're viewing this new RTD stuff not through that a little bit of nostalgia lens.
I think 13 episodes works a lot better for characters than 8 by far.
I do
works
think
better.
I do just think we desperately need some longer stories, like multi-part stories, that aren't just
Yeah,
the
that's the other
finale.
thing. That's the
yeah.
other thing. RTD1 had a lot of 2-parters as well.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more. Yeah, I'd like to see more two-parters going forward. I don't think we're gonna get a 13-episode season again. I just the way.
I mean,
hasn't
hasn't Davies said that after this first like 2 seasons of are done, like he does want to start working his way up to more?
He does imply.
episode-
I hope so.
I would like to see. I'd like to see back to 10 if we can. 10 a season.
Yeah, I'll take
Minimum.
10. I will take
Yeah,
10.
like,
that
but
is acceptable.
obviously, that's not even necessarily in Davies' control. That's
So
yeah, exactly.
what do we want to see
So,
going
that is-
forward? I guess sort of format story wise. Where
Either longer runtime for the episodes. If not that, then more episodes with some 2-parters. The other thing I want to see is I want to see more like actual really focus on these characters and who they are, because it just feels so disconnected. And like you all said, I hope the new writers are really good, because that could bolster season 2 a lot. And I'm interested to see what the new companion's like and how different she is to Ruby.
Mm.
as an actress, she
contrast.
seems to have nice. She seems to have nice chops when she was in Boom.
Yeah, she was good in Boom. actually.
I would actually like it if that actress kind of came back as the same character. I know that's not going to happen, but I think that would be kind of cool if it was the same character.
The media feature. I'm quite excited actually for Nicola Coughlan, who's going to be in the Christmas special.
Okay.
He's great.
Um,
Dairy Girls.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
Just in terms of the
new
trajectory
writers.
of the show, for me, this is a massive upgrade from the previous era. I hope that the positive incline just keeps going, because this is the first time I've watched Doctor Who since 2017 where I've actually obviously I have my issues with the season, but I've actually sat down to every episode and I've had a nice time watching it. Actually to just enjoy the experience of watching the show, as opposed to constantly just being frustrated with this thing that I don't like and this thing, and it just the cringy dialogue and the wooden characters and just all that stuff that Chibnall did. I just really don't like.
I'm looking forward to more of this with maybe some minor improvements, some tweaks.
Yeah, well, I think this is, for me, is just it's more normal what I expect from a TV show than what we got before. I'm not not pulling my hair out like I was before, even if there's things I really didn't like about some of the episodes. It's and the other factors is that stuff like 73 Yards and Dot and Bubble and Wild Blue Yonder, that's my shit. I love that.
I don't know, Brian, you ask what I'd like to see going forward, and I, again, just coming at it from a much more casual angle than I used to. I just want good Doctor Who. That's all. Just give me good Doctor Who. I'm not saying my bar is low or anything. I'm just saying I just I don't know. I'll take reasonably enjoyable Doctor Who.
If there's one thing I'm particularly intrigued in, it's seeing maybe a sequel to the Rogue episode.
Yeah, to see that expanded upon.
I would like to
I
see.
feel like we could get Jonathan Groff back as well.
I would like to see
Pretty
it
easily.
followed up on. But that's about the only thing on my wish list. I was pretty.
I guess that's the I suppose that is the solution. If you can't do 2-parters, you can do sequels, right?
Yeah.
And sort of expand.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
In terms of new writers, I'd like to see some non-white writers, especially since first actor of color as the Doctor in the main role, because Joe Martin was sadly a supporting character. And I'd like to see new writers in general
So-
take some risks.
So weird. So weird looking back on that whole thing. It's just very strange.
Yeah. I'd like to see a new composer come in. I think Gold did a fairly good job with the soundtrack this season.
Well, that's not going to
that's-
happen. That's not going to happen, Jacob. It's not.
It's not going to happen. Can dream, Connor. I can dream.
Maybe when Russell leaves.
Maybe when Russell
If I could fire Murray Gold after every single episode he's done, just to give him the feeling of being fired again, I would.
I think his score in Dot and Bubble, especially at the end, was fantastic. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I actually
I think
didn't
he should be fired forever.
I didn't mind his scoring this season. I think he's improved
I think
since.
I think he did some better work than a lot of his, especially the late Moffat era
Oh my
throughout the
fucking
season.
god! Yeah,
I think he should
I
never
think-
work again.
I think though,
Like,
oddly
you're
enough, the
so
finale-
cruel.
I think the finale reused a bit too much of his earlier cues, and that isn't helping the finale as well. I don't know if it was like a time thing or whatever. There were
I
quite a
don't think
few
Murray
reused
Gold should be
cues.
paid for anything.
Okay,
Jesus
we need to move on to the end of this before Joey gets even more.
yeah.
cruel.
Okay, so
This is getting political now.
yeah, closing and plugs. So, all of my friends have some sort of social media presence, more than I have. What are you guys up to right now? What have you got to advertise?
I've had a burning hatred of Murray Gold stewing inside me for about nearly 20 years, and I think I'm
gonna write a 5-hour-long video essay about it. Damn it! Stay tuned.
Those that don't know, I have a wonderful channel. I like to think it's a wonderful channel. At the time of recording this, almost at 500 subs, which is cool. Blood Donut Studios. I do all kinds of fun nerd things on there. We do Star Trek reviews and Star Wars things, and me and Brian are supposed to be talking about the Breaking Bad universe, I think.
We've got one episode left. I'm savoring.
We do,
it.
and
I'm savoring. it.
sure you are. You haven't even started the season, have you?
No,
but
I
anyway,
haven't.
so me and Jacob here also have a podcast called Fresh Face Comics. We talk about comics. I've been reading comics my entire life, and Jacob did not up until nearly 3 years ago now, which is so weird to think it's almost been 3 years.
This comes
yeah,
out. We're probably in the middle of doing some Marvel stuff still.
Yep, Spider-Man and upcoming other things that I won't spoil. So yeah,
say some
yeah.
X-Men stuff.
X-Men is definitely happening. So there's that. But yeah, so check all those things out. Brian, the easiest link for me is just my link tree. You can just put all that. You can find everything through there. So
Okay,
that's Yep.
Jacob.
I comics podcast with Joey. I also have a blog where I review a bunch of stuff. Star Trek recently, books that I read.
I think it's
still
important to
actually
mention
back-
that you're doing your Star Trek reviews parallel to Joey's.
Yeah, kind of parallel.
That is a true
parallel.
fact. Yeah, because I
It's a
the
fact.
videos that I do are with my brother and also named Jacob. Don't confuse them. But yeah,
Some people do, I think.
a lot of people.
honestly.
I'm aware a lot of people do. So.
Which is funny because I don't think Jacob and I have the same takes. Rarely, we're fairly.
So
fairly
sometimes,
different tastes.
sometimes.
Yeah. I also, review a lot of sci-fi and fantasy. I know I did sort of at the time of recording this, I just released a review on Stephen King's Carrie, which I read and just had to get some thoughts out on. It's kind of casual, what I read. I have takes on Twitter. That's about it. Link trees are the same with Joey. Best way to
Connor,
find all this
I
stuff.
have no idea what you're up to because YouTube just for some reason keeps unsubscribing me from you. I know you do upload from time to time, but I
Don't listen to him. Brian just keeps purposefully unsubscribing to you. He's told me himself.
yeah, no, I
Just,
fucking
uh,
hate
yeah.
you, Connor.
Yeah.
But what are you up to, Connor? What have you got in coming down the pipeline?
Well, I've got a bunch of stuff in the can. There was a big group recording we did of Dimensions in Time. You were there for that, Brian. That was funny. That was really, really entertaining. I've got Game of Thrones coming up. I've got a bunch of music stuff I've recorded in the can. At some point, I will release my consolidated reactions to the season that I've recorded as I've gone. I didn't react much because I was more immersed than reactive, but it'll be something. And yeah, there's all sorts of things going on. I'm currently listening to all of the albums on the Apple Top 100 so that I can actually have opinions on them. And at some point, I'll probably make a video talking about that because I love music.
That's a really cool thing, actually. Nice.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
Actually, if I may, Connor, I just want to say it's been a genuine pleasure to talk to you again because it's been a while since we actually talked and done a video together and everything, and it feels
I
nice.
think this might be the first proper time I've really done a video with
In a while.
Connor. I don't know how much I've done with you because
And
Yeah, I've done
guys were
some,
definitely-
but it's been a while.
You guys were
Has it
definitely
been
on old podcast episodes together.
Old
On
podcast episodes,
on
yeah.
security
It's-
kitchen, yeah.
yeah, it's the New Zealand America time zone craziness.
Scheduling
Well,
sucks.
Yeah.
If all goes
Yeah,
well
so,
and
I
we're
mean-
still alive by next year, we can do series 2.
Hey.
I'm just a lot more hands off with the fandom like you, and I'm enjoying the show a lot more because of it.
Genuinely, same here.
Like
Yeah.
fucking Chibnall on Twitter was an
even-
absolute pit.
I mean,
it's still absolute hell on Doctor Who Twitter these days. I'll say I even
It is.
recently started listening to Big Finish again, which is something I haven't done in a very long time.
Yeah, I feel like because
because
Big Finish just
Um,
Big Finish just hasn't had any like momentum since this era started. Like it's just so
yeah, I
irrelevant.
started just re-listening to the main range from the very beginning, and it's been really, really fun.
Nice.
So
Nice.
There are a couple of recent releases I can recommend to you guys that I think you get some kicks out of.
we
that
can
have been
do that after I
really nice.
finish the recording. So go check all of these guys out. Go check all of these guys out. They're awesome. I promise. I've been doing stuff with them for years. They're way cooler than I am. Thank you for watching and sticking around if you stuck around for this long. And we'll see you in series 2, I guess. Yeah. Bye.